Hey everybody, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome to another video where we're going to look at some exam preparation and we're going to talk about the Fast Tracks program, let you see what it's about. But we want to do some exam prep questions and we're going to start out doing some pretty basic journeyman level questions, although some of them might challenge you. But there's going to be some knowledge-based stuff as well in here. So let's kind of dig in and be able to kind of break these things down for you. Now, before I do that, though, I want to make sure I make it clear. So we're working out of our Fast Tracks program, and these are the latest database questions that are in the 2023 edition, but they're also available in the 2020 as well. But we've added a bunch of new questions to the database. But if you're interested in purchasing the Fast Tracks program, and really getting access to literally over 1,000 plus questions, as well as our 19 units of education. All you do is go to our website. The link is right there at the bottom. You see it, fasttracksystem.com. Here's the website. Basically right here, you have the choices of a budget, black, and the plus. The budget is just giving you our course info. I'm not grading anything. You're not interacting with me. Basically, you get access to the information, and that may be all you need. Now, we have a black and we have a plus program. There are 19 units of an intense study. We walk you through the beginning all the way up to things like hazardous locations and healthcare facilities, and we quiz you on that. Now, the difference between the black and the plus is that we also have a platform out there called Fast Tracks Tube. That's a video-driven platform. Now, you don't get access to that in the black. But there's more than enough information in the black to help you learn the NEC. But there are some people that want some ancillary videos. And the great thing is with the plus, you're going to get a year's access to that platform as well. So that's the only difference between the black and the plus. So I wanted to make that clear. But all you do is go to our website, click on the link of the program you want, or look at all three if you want. There's even some demos up there to kind of walk you through, and you can actually see what the program's all about. So make sure you watch the demos. All you got to do is go over here and click. So for example, I'll click the black just to show you. And here's the black page. And you'll go down and here you see your options between the 2017, 2020, and 2023. Here's the demo you can watch. And it kind of really runs you through all 19 units and kind of gets you a feel of what the program's like, what you can expect, by the way. Make sure you read this information down here, whether you're looking at the black or the plus. Because it kind of tells you what's in the program. Reminds you that you don't access your course through our website when you get the black or the plus. You have a separate console. We will send you that information via email within 5 days of your purchase. So you'll get that information. That is all explained down here. Allow 5 days and whatnot. Anyway, so make sure you also know which testing your state's doing, whether they're on the 2017, the 2020, or 2023. That is on you, because we don't know what it is in every state, okay? So anyway, that's our Fast Tracks program. It's not just exam prep, okay? It is really teaching you the National Electrical Code. That's what I'm all about, okay? All right, enough of that. We'll come back to that shortly. We'll give you a little bit more of a sampling of that. Let's go on and get into some code questions. Got your code books handy? We're going to be working out of the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code, but if you're in the 2020 or the 2017, don't let that discourage you, because some things might have changed, but a lot of stuff is going to be, you know, it hasn't changed all that much. So just relax, grab your code book. I've got my code book right here, and we've got the electronic versions provided by Link, which is an NFPA product. Highly recommend it if you're studying, but you got to get used to your code book, because you're not allowed to use the electronic version like Link inside of an exam. So again, it's just great to have on the job site, very handy. I'll also remind you that if you've never done it before, and whether you are a member of our program, whether or not you're just an electrician, a master electrician, journeyman electrician, apprentice, or anybody, I want to remind you that you need to get our mobile app. Our mobile app gives you access to so many features. It gives you access to Fast Tracks Tube if you're a member, or you're thinking about subscribing. It gives you access to our blogs. It gives you access to our Chat Now feature, which is kind of like TikTok in a way. And this is what we'll be using now to share code questions and images. So this is only available to those that have our mobile app. Okay, so you have to get the mobile app. Where do you get the mobile app? you just go to our website, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. We'll go to the website. And up here at the top of the website, you'll see right here where it says mobile app. So you go to fasttracksystem.com, click on mobile app. And if you're on a desktop, you just scan this QR code. If you're on your phone, you just click this little link right here, and it'll ask you if you want to load it on your phone. You answer yes, but remember, we're not loading any software. It's simply a link to our PWA app. So don't be worried about that. And if it asks, do you want to allow notifications? Say yes, because sometimes we'll send you updates, state updates, interesting things that are happening around the industry, and you want to get all those in a push notification. So make sure you allow it to be on your computer or your phone, and then make sure you allow notifications so we can give you those updates when they come about. Promise you, we will not spam you. It is only when updates or we want to make system-wide notifications or let you know if something changed. But it's free, and you really should get it. And there's so many calculators on here. There's so much goodness that you can use in the field. Calculators, resources, all right here. Okay, so make sure you get it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to sell you anything in there. All right, let's get on back to what we're doing here. Okay, like I said, I'm going to start you out easy. We're going to look at some journeyman questions, and maybe in time we'll step on up to masters, but we're going to see how long it takes us to get through some of these journeyman questions and work through it, okay? Sorry if you've endured my little commercial, but that's how I make a living, okay? So, all right, let's get to it. All right, folks, so here's your first question. This is more of a knowledge-based question because if you look at it, it says an article number in blank following a definition indicates that the definition only applies to that article. So where do you learn this? So this is interesting. If you look at the National Electrical Code, and this is kind of one of those ones that you have to learn it. Now, it's in the very beginning of the code. It talks about what these things mean, and most people skip that portion of the code, right? But when you're looking at definitions, it's structured in a certain way, okay? And so you'll have different things like brackets and parentheses. You'll see italics throughout the NEC, all that stuff. This specific question is talking about when you see an article number following a specific definition, okay? It indicates that that definition only applies to that article. But what is the article number in? Is it in bolds? Is it in brackets? Is it in parentheses? Is it in italics? Go to your code book and look. Really, go to your code book. We'll go look itself. But let's go over to the NEC, and let's go on and dig into some definitions real quick and see what we're talking about. Because this is more historically what we're trying to get you to learn in this scenario right here. So let's kind of go down to some definitions here. And let's see here. What we got, let's use an example. Okay. Oh, there you go. So here you go. See right here? Alternate power source right here. See this? 517. Well, that means that alternate power source here is specifically dealing with 517. 517 is healthcare facilities. So to answer our question, it was the article number, and we know that 517 is an article number. We can skip the CMP5 thing. We can skip the 99, which is referencing the document where it came from, the healthcare document, 99, that helped bring that definition over to the NEC. But we're looking for the articles that this is germane to, right? And there you see 517. But what is it in? It's in parentheses. So that's important as you start to learn the National Electrical Code, kind of what these bolds mean, what these different things are associated with, right? CMP means that that definition was under the purview of that specific code-making panel, which is 15. So they massage the definition, and then it goes into definitions in Chapter 1. But here you see 517. That means 517, the article, has direction, okay? That's basically, it only applies to 517 when it comes to this definition, right? So let's go back to the question. And based on what we've learned, we're going to click parenthesis, and there you go. Reference Article 100, okay? Now, just for craps and giggles, you could probably go back to the very beginning of Article 100, and it does give you this insight. So I do want to show you that because people say, well, Paul, where is that in the code? specifically, and remember, we're in the 2023, and there's a lot of changes that took place to Article 100. But right here, it says an article number in parentheses, followed by the definition indicates that the definition only applies to that article, okay? Only applies to 517, all right? So there you go. Wanted to just to kind of let you know how that applies and what you're seeing, okay? Okay, let's go on back to the lesson. We did good on that one. That was just kind of more of a little history lesson to help you understand, because you'd hate to apply some definition of something to the wrong article and totally get it out of context, and then you get the question wrong. That would suck, especially in the real world, if you don't understand that this definition only applies to a specific article. All right, let's go to the next question. All right. Blank is acceptable to the AHJ. Listed, approved, tested, or authorized. Now remember something, folks. The AHJ, authority having jurisdiction, throughout the National Electrical Code, it makes a lot of statements that says approved by the AHJ. So the AHJ is charged with proving something, not listing anything. That's an NRTL. That's a nationally recognized testing laboratory. They do listings. All right. The AHJ doesn't test anything. Okay. That's supposed to be done before you get it. So they're not testing anything. And then authorized. Okay. Authorized is a different type of word. They don't authorize anything in a sense. They approve certain things, or they say, okay, you've given me enough information. I've seen the manufacturer's instructions, and that's part of their listing. I'm going to approve it for this application, right? So let's see here. If we choose approve, there you go. And the reference, Article 100, Part 1, gives the definition of AHJ. And in that definition of AHJ, we'll go look. It seems like we get here, let's see. Everybody's going to tell me, Paul, you're still squinting. Absolutely, I am still squinting. Let's see here. Authority having jurisdiction, right here. Okay, there you go. And if you look in that, it says an organization, office, individual, and enforcement of requirements of the code and standards, or for approving equipment. Okay, so it's right there in the definition. Okay. One of the things to remember that in the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code, now all of the definitions are located in Article 100. You no longer have the .2 where the definitions are specific or may be germane only to that specific article. Now everything has been moved over into Article 100. So that is the importance of the last question, because you still have certain definitions that are specific to just that article, and now how they do it is with the parentheses. That makes better sense of why we had the other one. And again, I'm here to teach you. So again, some of these things may seem very basic, but we build up in this series. We're trying to get you better and better at it, right? So we got to start with the basics to be able to do that. All right, let's get back. All right, doing really good. Let me go on and make sure I have everything on my screen ready. Okay, let's go to the next question. All right. Now, when performing branch circuit load calculations, the outlets for heavy-duty lamp holders shall be calculated at a minimum of blank volt amps. All right. So think about this application. You're thinking, all right, this is a calc, right? And so it's asking me about volt amperes, right? And it's a branch circuit, because it's talking about performing branch circuit load calculations. So you really need to start getting in the mentality here is, okay, when I see something that's asking me about a branch circuit calc, where do I go to do calcs, right? Where do I have to go to that really gives me the process for doing calculations? Well, easiest thing to do there is to go to Article 220. And remember, there's a Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4, which work together. Okay, so branch circuit applications, Part 2. Part 3 is, we call it a standard method of a load calculation for service and feeder, and then Part 4 optional. But start getting that mentality in a question when it's saying, okay, I see a volt amp, asking me about volt amps, and then it's like, okay, you're asking me about a branch circuit load calculation. So that drives me to say, well, this makes sense. This is a 220 thing. So we're not using the index here because I do a lot of training with you using the index. This episode, we're trying to put some memory points and make you remember certain key things. So this is why I'll focus on it. So my training is different all the time. I'm always changing it up. So here we're trying to take some things and I'm going to pick out little points that you need to remember that kind of trigger things. And it's not tips and tricks. It's really trying to trigger your mentality to think, okay, when I see branch circuit load calc, I'm thinking, wow, that's going to be in part 2 of 220. When I see service or feeder load calcs, it's going to be, well, are they asking me for standard or optional? If they don't say optional, then I know that we're talking standard. Those mental triggers, that's what we want to work on. Okay, so we still got to find this answer. So let's go into the code. And since we know, and we're going to use what's called bold scanning techniques today. Again, I wish that the NFPA would add the index to link so that educators like us can show you how to use the index that way. And I do that, but it's hard to do that, and I don't have my third camera set up. So I'm going to use this technique to bold scan for you today, all right? And we're going to use triggers to try to get us where we need to be. And again, I'm going to hopefully log that into your brain. All right, so let's go in here, and I'm going to look here, and I'm going to say, okay, so I know that I need to be in 220, so I'm going to move past these definitions. Hopefully you can see this all okay. And we're going to go to 220, if I can find it. Okay, here's 2. We're going to go to 220. All right, we're in 220, and of course, in 220 now, I'm going to get us down to where I think we need to be, and that would be, obviously, we're going to go down to part 2, if I can find it in here. Again, I can't see it just like you probably can't see it, so, all right, so there we go. So we're in part 2, we're at branch circuit load calculations. That's what our question was about, right? And our question was about performing a branch circuit load calculation when the outlets for a heavy duty lamp holder. Okay, so we're going to go down. So we're in 2. So we're going to be bold scanning, right? And here's our other loads. Okay, other loads and specific. No, luminaires. Oh, heavy duty lamp holder. E. Didn't take us long. But what we had to do mentally was remember, we're doing a branch circuit load calculation. It's asking about a specific item, a lamp holder, and in this case, a heavy duty lamp holder. So that's just things that you're going to take and put in that memory bank, that branch circuit calculations, asking about specific appliances or specific things, right? That this is where you would go first to see where you need to be. And the reason I say that is because if it had been about ranges, for example, you probably know that you'd go into 220.55, or dryers 220.54, but you notice it right here, it tells you to go there. So this is where you're getting that direction as well. So that's important to remember in 220.14. It's also helping give some direction. And the 2023 edition kind of made that even a little easier in the way it's laid out. So that's a great change for the 2023 is how you approach it. It just kind of simplified it. All right, so let's go down here. So here we are. And here's our answer. It says outlets for heavy duty lamp holders shall be calculated at a minimum of 600 volt amperes. That's our answer, 600 volt amperes. So let's go back to our lesson. And we'll choose 600. And there we go, 220.14E. And that is our answer, okay? So we didn't use the index. Now, could you have used the index? You probably could have gone back into heavy duty lamp holder. Remember my trigger and how you find the points, the targets, words, or key phrases or key references. This was about heavy duty lamp holders. So if I will do this, so if we go back in the back, you'll see there's a reference for heavy duty lamp holders. And here it says branch circuits, right? And it gives you that information, right? And so it's just a lot of information in here that you could go to, but at the end it says unit loads. That's what we're asking about, and that is 220.14E. So it says it right here. So while we won't do it on every question here because we don't have electronic version of the index, what I will tell you is that it's simply a matter of looking at the question and dissecting key terms. Now, that's what I recommend for people all the time, right? So, I'll just kind of give you a little quick lesson on dissection is that if you get a good database of questions, if you have R questions, don't be in such a big hurry to answer them. Take your time and read the question, and then maybe dissect which key terms you think are triggers. Then go to your index and see if those triggers work for you. Now, the beautiful thing about that is it gets you working in and out of the code book. And that's what we want. We want you moving in and out, in the index, back out. We understand that during an exam, you're not going to be able to look up every question. That's why I'm teaching you the way to do it today. It kind of locks some things in your head. But the index can be a wonderful thing if you know how to use it. And I don't want you to use it as a crutch. What I want you to do is look at a question, try to pick out what's the question asking. That's the key. What is it asking? In this case, it wants to know what a heavy-duty lamp holder's contribution calculation in VA to a branch circuit load calculation, which have drove me to part 2 of 220. And hopefully that'll be clicking for you. When you get a question that asks you something, you'll say, well, I get it. This is sending me here or there. That's my goal, okay? That's what I'm trying to do here today. I may succeed or I may not succeed, but that's the goal, all right? I teach you how to use the index on other videos, so it makes sense. All right, so let's kind of look at this one. Blank is constructed so that dust will not enter the enclosing case under specific test conditions, okay? All right, so this is important. When I look at a question like this, you're thinking, well, God, where do I go with this? But this is very evident, okay, here, very evident that this is a definition. And you really narrowed it down and you went, well, it's not NEMA 3R, right? You're saying, well, it can't be NEMA 3R because that's rain tight and rain proof and all these other things. It might be dust, it might be equivalent. We don't know, but we know it's not NEMA 1. We know it's not NEMA 3. It mentions dust. So where do you go? Well, you know this is going to be dust proof or dust tight is kind of like a definition that deals with like a hazardous or even classified location type of aspects. So what are we going to do? We know that this is a definition. Now, the reason we're doing these this way, and I want to start off easy with you, is because you're going to get questions like this, and you need to understand that by reading it, I know it's a definition. It's asking me to define something, right? So that's going to be helpful for you. We know that definitions is you're not going to have NEMA 3R or NEMA 1. That's going to be somewhere else in the NEC itself, right? That's not going to be, I think it's 110.28. So this is more definition driven, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go look at the definitions. All right. So we're over here at the definitions right here. And I want to go back to 100. All right. There's 100. Okay. And we're going to go down. And again, if you were doing this on an exam, it would very quickly, you're going to flip through your definitions and say, okay, I'm going to see if there's something under dust tight. So let's see if I can do it. And again, I have trouble seeing it. So people say, well, make it bigger. That's the first thing that I get people who want to be a smart butt about it. The reality is I can't make it bigger because it affects up how you see it. If I try to make it too big, then it skews the screen. There's a reason I do what I do, folks, okay? Trust me. I always want to try to make it easier on you. All right, so let's go here. So here's dust tight, okay? And let's see what the definition of dust tight is. Enclosures constructed so that dust will not enter under specific test conditions. I don't really have to go anywhere else. It says construction so as dust will not enter the enclosure under specific test conditions. That's it. It's almost verbatim for that. So we luckily choose dust tight. Now, if we want to look at dust proof, well, again, that's something that you're like, well, is that going to be in here? No, that's not in the definitions. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go real quick and verify that. I want to verify that. So let's look here. So we've got dust tight, right? And of course, this is link, right? So you do have some additional stuff under here if you want. And there's 110.28. Again, I was talking about the different, different type of NEMA enclosure. So that's where you would go for that. Okay. So that's dust tight. I don't see any reference in here, unless I'm missing it. I don't see any reference to, and I'm gonna look for you. Yep, I don't see any reference to dust proof. I could be missing it, but it didn't matter for us because we nailed it on the first go. Okay, so dust tight, and there's our reference. Okay, now I don't think it's part 3. That actually was the 2020 edition of the NEC, but now it's all under 100. I believe that's the way it is. Okay, anyway, good job. You got it right. The key thing for me is that you noticed that this was a definition. That's what was key for me. Okay, that was the key part. All right, let's do another one. Y'all are doing great. All right. A device that establishes an electrical connection to the earth is a grounding conductor, a grounding electrode, a grounding solid, or ground. Okay? Well, think about this. A device that establishes an electrical connection to the earth. Well, a device. What's a device? Well, to me, when it said device, I'm thinking it's got to be an electrode. That is intimate with the earth, whether it's a rod, pipe, or plate, a ring, a concrete encased electrode. That is the device that establishes an electrical connection to the earth, right? Now, grounding electrode conductor brings it to that device, okay? But the way this is written, and we'll go look, but when you think about it, dissect this question. We're talking about what is the thing that makes that connection to the earth possible? Now, there's a bunch of pieces in this, right? Grounding electrode conductors down to the electrodes in contact with the earth. Yeah. But think about how the question is written. Whether you agree with the question or you're sitting on an exam and you go, this is a stupid question, you're stuck with the question, folks. So you have to make the best of it, okay? So in my case, I'm going to say grounding electrode, right? And I'm going to go to the NEC because I'm making that distinction here. And I'm here, and here's a grounding electrode. It says, a conducting object through which the direct connection to Earth is established. Doesn't say device, okay? Right? So you're thinking, well, it's got to be this one, right? Well, look at here. This is grounding conductor. This is grounding conductor equipment ground. Here's a ground conductor, grounded conductor. All right. And let's see here, grounded. All right. So this is important, folks. Look at the screen. And I know it's tough for you to see, but we have, that's impedance grounding, by the way. Okay. Grounding electrode conductor. Well, we get to rule out grounding conductor, grounding solid. Okay, it wouldn't take you but 1 second to go through here and see, look through here and see, all right, grounded solidly, but not grounded solid. Okay, and ground. Well, ground, okay, we can go back up and look at ground. Ground is the earth. Okay, so that is literally the earth. So it's not really the device that establishes it. We're just talking earth. So the only plausible answer here is grounding electrode. And there it is, okay? So this is a great example, and the reason why I wanted to start off this series and is this way is to be able to kind of let you see how we look at a question. Now, I'm going to remind you folks, we're going to move into some tougher questions. We're going to go from this video into another video, and that video is going to be getting into a little bit harder journeyman questions as we build up to master, and that's going to be in the next series. But I want you to see this, but I want to remind you folks that all of our courses are available here on our website, fasttracksystem.com. Here's where you click, you can find the Fast Tracks budget, black or plus, right? But we have tons of other courses. We have Fast Tracks courses with the orange where you get 4 courses of your choice. And so there's so much stuff here, folks. Make sure you check it out. If you want to see all our courses, you click on courses and they're all under the drop down. Residential, commercial, whatever you want, they're all right there. So check them out. And okay, y'all did great to start off. Get your juices warmed up. We're going to go into another video here shortly. So make sure you subscribe to the channel because there's other stuff here. And make sure you go over to fasttrackstube.com and subscribe for our annual membership, because you're going to get a lot more videos like this in the future. And they're going to be on all types of topics. All right, folks, I'm going to catch you in the next video. You did great. 5 fairly easy questions, but they caused you to use your skills. Okay? All right, we'll see you in the next video. Hey folks, don't go away. Thanks for watching the series on exam prep. Look, if you want to learn the National Electrical Code, there's nobody out there in this industry that can teach you the code any better than me. I will walk you step by step through. We have the best illustrations. We have competency review questions to test your knowledge. Look, if you're trying to learn the NEC, then you need to get in our Fast Tracks program. Not only that is you get mobile apps, you get message boards, you get chat. There's so many ways for you to connect with us and ask questions. Hey, look, if you're trying to learn the National Electrical Code, our Fast Tracks program can do it. Now, maybe you already got your license and you're doing residential and you want to get better at residential. Guess what? We got a Fast Tracks Red. That's residential deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Green. That's commercial deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Blue, industrial electrical codes deep dive. We have grounding and bonding. We even have electrical theory. In fact, we even have courses for HVAC technicians to learn the electrical part of their job and help diagnose and troubleshoot issues. So we have all this stuff on our website. What's our website look like? Let's go and look. Here's the website, folks, really quickly. This is what it looks like if you're on a browser. You can go up here and look at the courses. We have them all listed right here. You click on courses, you will actually see a list of them here. But if you hover over it, you'll see all the courses right here. If you're studying for an electrical exam, you can choose the Fast Tracks Black or the Plus. What's the difference? The Plus gives you access to 12 months of videos over on our separate Fast Tracks Tube platform. Not here, but on our separate platform. Don't worry, you'll get instructions to how to do that when you buy the course. But if you want to get the videos, then you choose the Plus. If you just want the exam prep course itself, which is the same whether it's the Plus or the Black, then you would just click on Fast Tracks Black. Now, the other thing that I will tell you, when you're here, make sure you watch this demo. This is an amazing demo. It's going to show you all the little things about the course. It's going to show you the chevrons. It's going to show you how to use the features. It's going to show you what it's like to be in our program. And I think it's going to blow your mind, because up until now, if you're watching this, you probably just stumbled through the NEC or flipping back and forth or bought somebody's videos. That's their commentary. That's not teaching you anything. This is exam prep. I want to give you illustrations. I want to give you content, all right? And then I want to test you on it. At the end, we have competency reviews. I personally grade these reviews. That's what sets us apart. So, hey, I appreciate you watching this video series. Hopefully you check us out. Go to this website right here. And please, I appreciate all of you and all of your faith you put in me to teach you. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I have created a system, whether you're pre-licensed or post-licensed, to help you learn the NEC. So hopefully you'll check out my videos, you'll subscribe to my channel, you'll become a Fast Tracks member, you'll download our mobile app, and you'll watch the next edition of this series. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome back to this exam prep series. You just finished watching video 1. Hopefully you learned a little bit about the basics in a journeyman style question, really learning the fundamentals, kind of getting used to looking at a question and dissecting it without using the index. You're kind of just looking at it and saying, well, what is the question asking me? And that's what that video was all about. If you didn't watch it, make sure you go watch that video and watch these in series, because it is going to be beneficial to you as you maneuver up through the exam prep process. And I'm here to help you. And that's what our Fast Tracks programs are all about. So if you're watching this video and you're not familiar with our Fast Track, the questions that we're looking at today are part of our Fast Tracks program. And we have over 1,000 plus, probably close to about 1,600 exam prep style questions. But the real key here is the 19 units of learning that you get in our program. We're going to take you from the very beginning and we're going to walk you all the way through. Forget what you think you know, okay? Because this program is going to test that knowledge. And it's not just for exam prep, it's for anybody that wants to learn the National Electrical Code. If you just want to be a better electrician, or you're a leader of a company and you want to make sure your guys are doing things right, and you want to have less failed inspections, or maybe you want to be able to have an intelligent conversation, maybe a debate with another electrician or even an inspector, you really need to learn the code. And that's, again, I'm a believer in continuing your education, always wanting to learn. We don't know it all. I don't know it all. So we want to always continue to learn. I mean, this is an amazing profession, and this is what education does. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you learning. And at the end of the day, it just makes your job easier because you become that person that can just do it, get you the answers quickly. And that's what our program's designed to do. I'm a bit selfish. I created this program not just to help you pass exam, but it's not like those cram courses or the books or DVDs that really don't give you in-depth information. Our course goes over and above. It gets deep. Yes, it does calculations. Yes, single family, multifamily, commercial. It gets deep. And I'm always here to answer your questions. And of course, you can join us on Wednesday nights as well. All right, let's go on and get into this, but I want to show you where you get our program. If you're interested in our Fast Tracks program, I want to make sure you understand where to go. So this is our website. You can see down below, Fast Track System. On our website, you can obviously go up here under courses, and you can see all of our programs. So budget courses we have available now. We have the continuing education. We have our Fast Tracks Black, our Plus, our Industrial, so many courses depending on where you need to be. Now, if you happen to be studying for exam prep, then the easiest thing is to go up and just go to our Fast Tracks Black program or the Plus. Now, what's the difference? If you could just scroll down, if you're on a web browser. Now, if you're on your mobile phone, then it won't look exactly the same, okay? If you're on your mobile phone, I will show you this real quick, just so you know. If I go to the mobile version, then this is what it's going to look like on your mobile version. So I just want to make it clear, because some people say, well, it doesn't look the same. So this is kind of what your mobile version does. And if you scroll down, you'll see icons. Well, all you want to do, if it's exam prep is what you're doing, then you just simply click the one that says test. You tap it, and that's all you do, and it'll take you right to the Fast Tracks page, and you can look between the Black, the Plus, and the budget and everything. Now, let me explain the difference between the Black and the Plus. It's the exact same course. It's our 19 units. You get me grading your work. You get a whole year access to it. You get the 1,000+ questions. But here's the thing. It's the exact same. The Black and the Plus are exactly the same program. The only difference is the Plus gives you access to our exclusive video platform. It's not YouTube. It's not somebody else's. It's all controlled by us. And it only has videos selected by me personally. And it's not just me. There are other educators on there, but I have personally reviewed all of the videos, and that's what we're doing. We're basically sifting out the important videos. There's calculation videos, there's code change videos, there's fire alarm videos. There's a lot of stuff for everybody. That is Fast Tracks Tube. Now, the difference between the Black and the Plus is the Plus, I'm going to give you a year subscription to the Fast Tracks Tube as well. So that's a bonus, okay? And we just work the price into the cost of the course, right? Remember, the course itself, Fast Tracks Black or Plus, is the exact same exam prep course or NEC learning course. The Plus just gives you access to videos on our other platforms. That's the difference, okay? Difference. All right, kind of got that out of the way, but that's our website. Go check it out. We have some great blogs on here. Make sure you check out our blogs. We have a lot of calculation articles, different things like that. Also, what you should be getting, if you have not done it yet, you need to, whether you're in our program or not, and this is the last thing I'm going to sell you on, I promise, you need to click on this mobile app button. On our website, you'll see a link right here. When you go to your mobile phone, you click it. You download the app onto your phone, and that app on your phone is going to look like this. And it's got so many resources. It's got online calculators. It's got just so much there. You can read the blogs from here. You can go into our chat room from here. And here's another neat thing. If you don't like social media, but you want to learn something, you get the app, and there's a feature called Chat Now. Chat Now is very similar to like a TikTok without all the garbage. You know what I'm saying? We'll post things on here. You can post things on here. You can post up to 6 images at a time. And have people comment on them, critique them. I'm going to post stuff on there more now since we finished our little experiment on TikTok. I'm not on really TikTok anymore. We wanted to see before we decided this is where we wanted to go, and it's all on our mobile app, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to get our mobile app. You can get it right from our website, okay? All right, enough of that. All right, let's get to today, what we're going to be working on today. All right, folks, we're still going to be working on some journeyman, I think journeyman level questions as we're working through this multi-part series. And today we're going to look at them again. And today we're going to be, again, using our knowledge. Now, I'm not going to be using the index. You can use the index. I will give you some tips on how you may use the index, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to do something a little different in this series, where we're going to try to lock some of these concepts in our brain. And so I'm going to feed you different tips and things about it. And I might sound like I'm being overly verbal here, and people say, Paul, just get on with it. I get it. I am long-winded. But I've been doing this for 30 plus years. And if I look at the overall feedback I get, people like the way I teach it. And I know I'm 7 minutes into this and you're thinking, let's get going already. I get it. But I got to make a living. And for all you that buy our courses and support us or do our membership over on Fast Tracks Tube, I appreciate you. It keeps us able to do these things. It's a small amount to you, but it's huge for us. So we appreciate it. All right, let's get into this. All right, first thing we're going to look at, first question up. It says a 24-inch conduit nipple is permitted to be filled to blank percent of the total cross-sectional area. Okay. All right. So a couple triggers that come to mind here. You ready? We're talking about 24 inches, and the question already told me it's a nipple. Already said it's a nipple. By this point in your studying, unless you're brand new to studying or learning the code, you know right away that this is a raceway fill question. Okay. And you're looking at it and going, there's obviously a percentage. Now, the savvy electrical student will go, well, I know that there's a 40, there's a 53, okay? And and there's a 60%, and then there, you look at it and there's a 31%. And you're sitting going, well, I don't see 31. I see a 40, I see 53, I see a 60. You might already know this answer. So this brings me to one important thing that I'll tell you about exam prep and in an exam. If you happen to see a question on an exam that you just flat out know the answer to, guess what? You answer it right away and you move on, because that's going to build you up some extra time in an exam. In the real world, you want to go ahead and look it up in the code. But there's two different worlds here. The exam, you're under a time crunch. That's why we train you with these things. And this is why I give you so many little things to think about, because what I'm going to tell you right here in a minute is going to be worth a lot of weight of knowledge when you're in the field or when you're in an exam. And it's going to forever lock it in your brain. You ready? Okay, let's go back. So in this case, we're looking at a raceway fill requirement, okay? And here it's talking about a nipple, right? We also know that it's talking about percentage fill. Where do we go for percentage fill? Now, you could go to the back of the index, but you should know by now, anytime you have a raceway fill calculation problem, the first place that you want to go is Chapter 9, Table 1. Because that's going to give you the different fill allowances, okay? And then you have associated notes that are going to give you additional direction. So this is an example of one of those I want to lock in your brain. When you hear something on an exam about raceway, tubing is a raceway, conduit is a raceway, when you start seeing this, I want you to think, Chapter 9, Table 1. And there's various notes associated to give you additional guidance. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the NEC. All right, so let's go to the NEC. And we're going to go down to Chapter 9 right here. And we're going to go right here. So this is it percentage. Well, what does it say right here? Okay, you look at each one of these and it says, okay, number of conductors and or cables. So you've got one conductor, 53%, two conductors, 31%, over two, 40%, okay? We're all familiar with that. But where does it talk about the nipple? Well, go down to these notes right here. What do you see right here? Item number 4, it says, where conduit or tubing nipples, not including connectors, okay, have a maximum length not exceeding 24 inches are installed between boxes, cabinets, or similar enclosures, the nipples shall be permitted to be filled to 60% of their total cross-sectional area, okay? And it reminds us that 310.15c1 adjustment factors need not apply. Now, let me explain something to you. 310.15c1 is when you put a certain number of current carrying conductors in a raceway, it's going to affect the ampacity of those conductors, right? Due to mutual heating. Well, this is saying, look, it's only 24 inches long. Since it's this short, it's going to allow heat to dissipate, or that conductor is going to act as a wicking effect, and it's going to pull that heat out, and you're not going to have a problem. So I get to ignore 310.15c1. Hey, it's a beautiful thing for the nipple. But you still can't fill the nipple more than 60%. Now, here's a tip. This is automatically done for you in a sense, right? When it comes to basically finding out what's the size of the raceway, and you still have to do the calculation to find out how many conductors I can put in there. But I want you to show you there is a 60-degree column. And to show you that, I'll go down right here and I'll give you an example. So this is for ENT, right? And we'll go over, and here you see, okay, 60%, and there's your square inch value, which is your approximate area. And here you see all the values down this column right here. Okay, so when you're taking the conductors and you're doing chapter 9, table 5, and you're taking THHN, and you're finding out what the inch square is of it, the approximate area, using the approximate area column, not the approximate diameter, approximate area. And you go over it and you say, well, how many of these can I put in this raceway? Well, you could take this 60 value here and you could divide that by the number of conductors of if they're all the same size, and that'll tell you the maximum number you could have in there and not exceed the 60%. You with me? So it's so important to remember these things. 60% fill for nipples. 31% fill if you have two conductors. One conductor is 53%. Over two, which is probably what you're going to run into the most of the time, is going to be 40%. I cannot fill that raceway with conductors that would add up to more than 40%. In this case, a nipple, we could put as much up to 60%, but we can't exceed it. Make sense? A lot of valuable information there to remember. Just think, nipples, 60. Over two conductors, 40. One conductor, 53. And by the way, there's also a note 9 in there in this table that talks about putting cables inside of raceways. If it's a complete system, that means box to box, then it treats a cable as a single conductor and you can't exceed 53%. Okay? And there's a calculation that allows you to calculate. Pi divided by 4 times the diameter squared is the formula to determine what the approximate area is for a cable inside of a raceway. Okay? It's important stuff. Because there's also a note 2 that says, look, if it's just a piece of raceway and it's not connected to boxes, then it's only there for physical protection, then you don't have to worry about that. There's so much to look at. Take the time and go to chapter 9, table 1, and look at all those notes and really try to understand the notes. It's going to serve you great dividends, not only on an exam, but in the real world, in the field. Okay? All right. A little more explanation on that one, but I felt it was necessary for us to kind of go into the details, dig into the weeds a little bit, get you a little more familiar with Chapter 9, Table 1, and the various notes. Of course, I do have videos, folks, over on Fast Tracks Tube that talks about raceway fill, and we cover all of that in an exhaustive detail. I'd love you to become a subscriber on that platform. It's only $99 a year. We lowered the price, or you can do month to month. If you want to do month to month, that's up to you. But it really does help us. A lot of people send us donations. I don't want the donations. I'd prefer you to become a subscriber. That way you get something out of it. right? That's what I prefer, but we appreciate you nonetheless. All right, so 60, there you go. Chapter 9, Table 1, Note 4. Beautiful. All right, let's do another question here. All right, now, let's look at this one. It says the minimum radius using a one-shot bender, okay, so it says one-shot bender, okay, bender at 1 trade size. People say 1 inch, but it's really 1 trade size, but here it kind of says 1 inch. EMT is blank. And you got to think about this question. You go, okay, I'm going to give you a little tip. If you ever see an exam question, first thing, it's talking about minimum radius bending, okay? And then it's talking about a one-shot bender, or it doesn't say something like a full shoe bender and all this kind of stuff. Where do you need to go? Okay, so this is one where I could go back into the index, okay, and start digging around. For example, I could go back here and say, okay, is there anything under one shot? Well, I'm going to do it. I said I wasn't, but I'm going to do it because I want to give you something here that you just need to commit to memory, okay? But I'm going to go look real quick and see if there's anything under this. And you should do it too. You should be pausing this video anytime and go and look. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's anything under one shot just to see, because that just seems like, okay, well, is that unique or not? And I'm going to look, and it may or may not. And I don't see anything under one or anything for one shot. Okay, so that wouldn't help us. Next is radius. Okay, so I'm going to look, see if there's anything maybe under radius. And I'm doing this for points, so just bear with me. All right, so I'm going to go look under radius, and let's see if I see anything under radius. I got raceways. Let's see here. I've got nothing under radius that I see. Okay. Nope, nothing under radius. Okay, you're thinking, oh, crap, this is one of those questions, right? We're thinking, okay, well, what about EMT? So I'm going to go look under EMT. Bear with me, folks. You might find it somewhere, but I'm doing this for a reason. And I said I wasn't going to use the index, but I have to illustrate something I want you to commit to memory. So I'm going to go look under EMT, electrometallic tubing, and see if I see anything. Okay. All right, so electrical EMT, and I'm looking at bends. This question asks about bender. So it's talking about radius. So you have to think it's a bend, right? And then you go under bends and it sends you to 358.24, 358.26. Then it sends to chapter 9, table 2. Okay? Why is that important? All right, I'm going to show you because we're going to go look at those references. So this was specifically about EMT, but I'm going to blow the beans for you. You always want to go, there's a table in chapter 9, table 2, that talks about this, okay? And so you want to make sure that you put that in memory, that if you get a question that's asking for minimum radiuses and it says something about a one shot or full shoe or anything like that, think chapter 9, table 2. Chapter 9, table 2. But we're going to use the NEC and the index because I said I'd do it for a reason. Under EMT, you'll see it says bender. Now we're going to go to 358.24. Now watch the process here because I want you to realize that the NEC is not always, the index is not always the holy grail, but it can benefit you. So let's go here first. And I'm going to go to 352. Bear with me as I squint my way through this. And I know people out there says, Paul, you need to just get a bigger, screen. There are huge screens. I still can't see. Okay. So again, save me the criticism because it's just not going to help me. Let's see here. Go ahead. So we're going to go to, what was it? 24 first. So here we're at 24. Okay. And what does it say right here? You ready? The radius of a curve of any field bend to the center line of the tube shall not be less than shown in table 2, chapter 9 for what? One shot and full shoe benders. Oops, sorry, I wasn't high enough. There. The index worked, but you have to know where to go. We looked at radius. There's nothing. We looked under, I think we looked under bender. There was nothing. We looked under the wiring method to get us there, right? Now, if you know bins, which is typically .24 in most of the Raceway articles, then you could have gone there and you would have found this and it would ultimately send you. But you have to understand, do you know what a full shoe is or a one shot? These are when you're making in the field bins. Okay. Now, if you buy manufactured stuff, bins that are already made, they're already going to understand this. They're already designed. These are for when you make bins in the field. Okay. And you can't be less than what is given here in chapter 9, table 2. Okay. With that said, we got to answer the question. But the second reference in here was 358.26. So while we're here, we're going to look at it. And there isn't a 358.26. You know why? Because I'm using the 2020. And this is the 2023. So that's an example of something's missing. So when people ask me, can I use a 2020 to take a 2023 exam? You probably could. But there will be things that are missing, changed, and moved around, and it could get you frustrated. Okay? So we're going to go down, and we're going to go to chapter 9. And we're going down here, and we're going to go down, and we're going to go to table 2. And here it is, right here. Here is table 2, right there. Radius of conduit and tubing bins, and we have one shot and full shoe, right? And what was the size of ours? Ours was 1 inch, or trade size 1. Remember? Just so you know, I'll go back to the question. So here's it right here. It's a one shot bender for a 1 inch EMT. Makes sense? All right. So we're going to go back to the code. And so here it is. It's 1 inches right here. Let's go over. And this looks like 5 3/4. That's our answer. So let's go back to the question. 5 3/4. And there's our reference. Chapter 9, table 2. Again, I get it. I'm long-winded. But if you let what I say soak in, it's going to make so much sense for you. Okay? All right, let's go to the next question. All right, the diameter of a 1.5 EMT conduit is. So it's a diameter question, right? It's not necessarily asking us fill or anything like that. It's just basically saying, okay, it's a 1.5 trade size EMT. What's the diameter? And you're thinking, it's one of these. Where do you go? All right, well, remember we were doing what we've done in previous questions? We know that all the information about our raceways, whether it's the fill percentages or whatnot, this is kind of stuff you need to start plugging in. It was all back there in where? In chapter 9. And you're thinking, that makes sense. Table 4? Because table 5 is the conductors, table 4 is the different raceways. Let's do this. Let's go back into the code. And we're already kind of back here anyway, right? So it was for EMT. So we want to make sure that we're going here. So here we are. This is table 4, okay? And we'll be looking for, what is this for? All right, this is, there you go, EMT. Okay, you can verify that. It's Article 358, okay? So now what we're working with is like, we don't care about this stuff. 60%, we're not, that's not gonna, we don't care about that. All right, so it's asking, the question is the diameter, okay? So you have a nominal internal diameter, right? But it's just saying the diameter. That is the closest thing that we can get to, okay? It didn't say the diameter. It's talking about, when we think of raceways, we're concerned about the part that's inside of it, right? So when I'm looking for this, I'm thinking, well, you know, what do I have to do with, you know? What am I working with? And you're like, all right, well, I have to think of which the reference that it gives me diameter. It's important, folks. Don't get lost in the question. You might be thinking diameter, it's to the outside. The usable diameter that we're talking about is the portion towards the inside of it, okay? So we see the word diameter. This is reference to diameter. That's where we want to be. You're going to get questions on an exam that you just say, well, I don't like that question. All I can tell you at that point is you have to suck it up and realize you're going to get questions that you do not like and you do not agree with, but they are what they are. You try to answer them the best you can. Okay? It's just an exam. That's it. All right. So if we go back to the code, and we're asking about a 1.5. So let's see if I can get us back over here. So here we are. Here's the only reference to diameter we have. And of course, let's see, we need to find out the row that's for the 1.5, which is right here. So I'm just kind of do this so I make sure I'm on the same row when I get over there. All right, so here we go. So let me continue this on so I don't get lost on what row I'm at. All right, right here. So there's our answer. 1.610. That is the answer. The only answer it could be. Right? Okay, so we're going to go back to our lesson. And the only answer available that it could be is that one right there. And where's the answer? Chapter 9, Table 4 for Article 358. Folks, just kind of that simple, but you have to try to fight the urge. It's a better way for me to say that. Let me get back to me here. Fight the urge to bring in common sense, if you will, to an exam. Don't. Just focus on the exam. Take what they give you, right? You might go looking up a motor in the FLC for single phase in 430.248, and it says it's 115 column, but the question is 120 volts. But you went and looked up the FLC for that motor, and it was under the 115. So your mind says, well, then I'm going to find the VA, I'm going to take what? I'm going to take those amps times 115, because that's what's in the table. No. If the exam question gave it as 120, then you want to use what the exam gave you, because that's what they probably did. There's a reason they do it that way. Do not let your mind start to say, well, that's not how I would do it. Or that's wrong. This test is wrong. Who cares about the test? You just want to give them what they want so you can pass it and move on. Okay? In the real world, these things aren't going to matter, because you know that it doesn't matter, that if it's a 115 in this table, that it says at the title of the table that it also applies to 120 volt applications. Okay? So we use 120 as a nominal. Okay? So don't let the exam kind of draw you into common sense. Just answer what they ask, and your life is going to be so much better, I promise you. Okay, you got to remember, people write questions, they don't always write the best questions. But you have to be able to look at it and say, yeah, I'm just going to answer this the way they expect it, that type of thing. All right, let's do another one. All right, the cross-sectional, a 100% cross-sectional area for a 1 1/4 IMC intermediate metal conduit is blank square inches. Well, the reason I'm giving you this one next is because your mind, your little spidey senses, okay, should have gone off and says, whoa, I was just there in the area where I needed to think about what's the 100% of the cross-section area. Now, we know we can only fill up a certain amount of that, but if you get a question that wants to know what's the cross-sectional area of a 1 in, like I might ask you a question on an exam. I might give you a certain number of conductors, right? And throw you, man. I might tell you there's 4 THHNs and 4 aughts, and I might tell you all this, but then my question might go, what is the total cross-sectional area of that 1 1/4 IMC? And here's what you start to do. You start calculating it out and thinking, well, there's more than 2, so I got 40%. And the question's just trying to find out what's that total cross-sectional area, not the remaining cross-sectional area, just what's the total cross-sectional area. Don't let it get you, okay? 1 1/4 IMC. Let's go to the code. We're already here, so let's go to intermediate metal conduit right here. And again, right here, total area. That's what the question, didn't ask you the fill, didn't ask you what the remaining fill was. Be very aware of questions like that, because that is the easiest type of question to ask, is give you a lot of fluff and then turn around and bam, hit you with a simple question. So in this case, it was 1 1/4. So we got to do like we did before. I need to make sure I'm in the right area. So it's right here. So I just want to do this to make sure I go over and I'm in the right area. Okay, let's continue this on. So we know we're in the right area. Okay. There. So, okay, square inches, looks like it's 1.647. Just that easy. That is the total area. Now, we can only fill it up to a certain percentage. But if the question wants the total area is the same as saying 100% of that cross-sectional area. It's essentially the same thing, right? So come back to the question. And it was 1.647. That was the total area. And there you go. Again, chapter 9, table 4. Easy questions. I know this is very common for journeyman style questions, but we're working our way up and we're getting complicated, and we will get more complicated in part 3 of this series. All right, but we're working our way up. All right, so let's go to another question. You're doing great. All right. The next question that we have is, it says rigid metal conduit, 2 trade size, or 2-inch trade size, really 2 trade size, would have a blank square inch fill for 3 conductors. You see what I'm saying? Now that remember that knowledge I gave you early on? Remember the early knowledge I gave you? Remember when I said how important it would be? This is the kind of thing now that you should start being able to just hammer these things. These are easy questions, and I would hate to see you have trouble on a journeyman's exam because you didn't think about those principles. We know we have what? We know we have over 2 conductors, okay? We've got 3, okay? Now, people will say, well, I don't, they're like, well, I don't, I don't have the values here. I can't solve this. I need to know the conductors. No, you don't. Not to solve this, you do not. If it was on TikTok, for example, people would be arguing till they're blue in the face thinking they can't solve this question. You can. What is the blank square inch fill for 3 conductors? Okay? Means you can't exceed it. For these 3 conductors, what is it? Let's go to the code. All right, it's rigid conduit, and it's 3 conductors. All right? So it wants to know what we've got. So let's go down. So this is rigid. So I'm going to take us to rigid if I can find it here. Hold on here. Rigid metal conduit right here. All right. So how many conductors we have? We have 3. So we have over 2. So we can't fill it more than 40%. All right. So what is our value for 2? Trade size 2. Well, here it is right here. Right there. There's 2. And the 40%, we want to be in the square inch column. And that would be 1.363. That is the maximum we could put in there. Even if we have 3 conductors, that's the maximum we can go. We don't have any conductor sizes. We haven't done any math. It doesn't matter. We need to know what's the value in square inches that I cannot exceed. And that's the answer. So I come back to the question. And there it is. Right there. Chapter 9, table 4. So important, these questions, to really hammer these things home and make you feel comfortable about what's going on, folks. It really is. Okay. All right. Let me bring you back to me real quick. Oh, remind you real quick, if you're interested in learning this stuff, so I can promise you in our course, you will learn this stuff. You will become so proficient with the National Electrical Code. We have students that email me every day who tell me how they learn so much in our 19 units in our Fast Tracks program. I do want to show you again where you get our program. You simply come to our website. The link is right there at the bottom, or you'll see the link, fasttracksystem.com. You go here under courses. You will see the Fast Tracks Black. You will see the Fast Tracks Plus. They are the same course. The only difference is the Plus, we give you access to 12 months of videos as well on our separate website, fasttrackstube.com. That's the only difference. The only difference in price is you get a year's access to that platform as well. That's the only difference, okay? You could do that right there, or you could come up to courses. And if you're in a mobile app, then all you got to do is just go to, when you get our website, all you do is scroll down to where it says test, click the test icon, and that will take you to all of the Fast Tracks programs that deal with exam prep. That's just an easy way to get there. You could also click the little hamburger at the top right, And that will also give you all the navigation that you need to navigate our website. Okay? It's all right there, folks. Hopefully you'll get something out of that. And so everything is right on our system. There's a lot of demos over there too. Make sure you watch the demo. There's the website. Share it with people. Get the people in your company using it. I know I sell courses and I don't like to sound like a salesperson, but I promise you, you will become a better electrician through our course. You'll be connected with me. You'll get our mobile app. You'll be able to ask questions directly through the mobile app. And shortly, I'm going exclusively to answering questions through the mobile app so I can be of better service to our customers. I don't necessarily want to have better service to everybody else. I want to reward my customers with my dedication and loyalty. You get this app, it's free. You can always post a question, always post an image. You could be on a job site and take a picture of something and send it through the app, and I will comment on it and give you some advice. That's where we're moving, folks. I want to support you because you support me. That's what it's all about. I don't know everything, but I promise you I will pour what I know into you the best I can. All right? All right, folks, stay tuned for the next episode as we're going to get a little harder now. We're going to shift over into some master level questions, and we're going to work our way up. So whether you're a journeyman or you're taking a journeyman or you're taking a master, it doesn't matter. In my course, we don't differentiate. So even though these will be a little tougher questions, I want you to do them. I want you journeymans to do them because it's going to make you better. And that's what I'm here for. All right. Catch you in the next video. God bless. Hey folks, don't go away. Thanks for watching the series on exam prep. Look, if you want to learn the National Electrical Code, there's nobody out there in this industry that can teach you the code any better than me. I will walk you step by step through. We have the best illustrations. We have competency review questions to test your knowledge. Look, if you're trying to learn the NEC, then you need to get in our Fast Tracks program. Not only that is you get mobile apps, you get message boards, you get chat. There's so many ways for you to connect with us and ask questions. Hey, look, if you're trying to learn the National Electrical Code, our Fast Tracks program can do it. Now, maybe you already got your license and you're doing residential and you want to get better at residential. Guess what? We got a Fast Tracks Red. That's residential deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Green. That's commercial deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Blue, industrial electrical codes deep dive. We have grounding and bonding. We even have electrical theory. In fact, we even have courses for HVAC technicians to learn the electrical part of their job and help diagnose and troubleshoot issues. So we have all this stuff on our website. What's our website look like? Let's go and look. Here's the website, folks, really quickly. This is what it looks like if you're on a browser. You can go up here and look at the courses. We have them all listed right here. You click on courses, you will actually see a list of them here. But if you hover over it, you'll see all the courses right here. If you're studying for an electrical exam, you can choose the Fast Tracks Black or the Plus. What's the difference? The Plus gives you access to 12 months of videos over on our separate Fast Tracks Tube platform. Not here, but on our separate platform. Don't worry, you'll get instructions to how to do that when you buy the course. But if you want to get the videos, then you choose the Plus. If you just want the exam prep course itself, which is the same whether it's the Plus or the Black, then you would just click on Fast Tracks Black. Now, the other thing that I will tell you, when you're here, make sure you watch this demo. This is an amazing demo. It's going to show you all the little things about the course. It's going to show you the chevrons. It's going to show you how to use the features. It's going to show you what it's like to be in our program. And I think it's going to blow your mind because up until now, if you're watching this, you probably just stumbled through the NEC or flipping back and forth or bought somebody's videos. That's their commentary. That's not teaching you anything. This is exam prep. I want to give you illustrations. I want to give you content. All right, and then I want to test you on it. At the end, we have competency reviews. I personally grade these reviews. That's what sets us apart. So, hey, I appreciate you watching this video series. Hopefully you check us out. Go to this website right here. And please, I appreciate all of you and all of your faith you put in me to teach you. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I have created a system, whether you're pre-licensed or post-licensed, to help you learn the NEC. So hopefully you'll check out my videos, you'll subscribe to my channel, you'll become a Fast Tracks member, you'll download our mobile app, and you'll watch the next edition of this series. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome to part 3 in this exam prep series where we're digging into some exam prep style questions. We worked our way through some fairly easy ones to kind of give you an understanding of the principles and how to look at a question and how not to have to use the index. You're just kind of looking at a question and getting a feel for it. Now, these questions are part of our database that's available in our 2020 and our 2023 exam prep series. But even if you're not preparing for an electrical exam, our Fast Tracks exam prep style course is also an NEC learning course. So you don't have to be doing an exam to get something out of our program. Now, we're going to pick up here, and the questions are going to be a little more difficult, and we're going to explain them a little more. We're going to try to do them without the index, because in this series, this special series, I'm trying to get you to see how you would identify that an article is not very big and how to use maybe the table of contents and those type of things. But again, I don't want you to lose sight that the index is a powerful tool. I just don't want you to rely on it like a crutch. And so in our program, our Fast Tracks program, you're going to actually learn in these 19 units things that are just going to be locked in your brain. And you're not going to need the index, because when you see it on an exam, you're just going to know these things. You're going to create electronic flashcards in our system that you're going to be able to spit out different articles like 334 for non-metallic sheath cable, 340 for UF cable, 338 for SE cable, 336 for tray cable, 330 for MC cable, 320 for AC cable. You're going to understand these things, and it's just going to roll off your tongue. It's going to make you better in the field. So that's why I tell people it's not just for exam prep. It's to make you a better electrician, and that's what I really am the most proudest about when it comes to our programs, is that we took a program and we've kind of twisted it around, we've added our own content, we've manipulated it, and we're presenting it in a way to really help you learn. And we're backing it up by giving you the Sparky Hub to ask your questions. You got a mobile app that you can ask questions to us. So many ways to support you. That's what you're paying for. This is the world's only structured exam prep and National Electrical Code learning type of program. Now you're saying, where can I get it? I know we got to get started into these questions, but I want to show you where you get it real quick, because a lot of people say, where do I get your program? And what's the difference in, let's say, the Fast Tracks Black Plus program? What's the difference? Okay, I got to show you that. Please don't click away. Endure me this to be able to show you this real quick. So let's go look at it. So here's our website. And when you come here, and it's at fasttracksystem.com, you can see it right down below down there. You will see here that we have all these links at the top. And underneath the courses, you'll see a list of all of our courses. All right, now our courses, we have some post-licensing courses, residential, commercial, industrial, grounding and bonding. We even have a course for HVAC electricians, how to troubleshoot calls, how to do things, how to take measurements. Yeah, we even got that. People don't know that, but we do. There's so much here. We have basic electrical theory, which is a great course to learn all those things you ever wondered how electricity works, and all those things that you just took for granted, but you're going to learn in that program. But they're all right here. But what people ask us the most about is our Fast Tracks Black and Plus. What's the difference? So those are our premier NEC learning as well as exam prep courses. What's the difference between the Black and the Plus? Well, they're the same course. The only difference is the Plus also gives you access to 12 months of video access. And the videos are random videos on calculations, code changes, anything. There's a collection of about anything in there that I personally have selected. And they are already qualified to be accurate, and you're going to learn so much from them. And we're constantly adding more to that program. So again, I encourage you to check out Fast Tracks 2. But if you want to get that included with your purchase, then you're going to go with the Plus. Now, if you go with the Black program, again, it's the same program itself. When you get here, I want you to realize that there's a lot of information here. You see a 2017, 2020, and 2023. Watch this video. There's a little video right here that you're going to watch. Now, the video seems like it's not showing up here. Let me refresh this and see if it'll show up here. And it still hasn't shown up. But let's see. Let me go back because it could be just a internet thing. So let's go back right here. There we go. So there's your video. Watch the video because the video kind of takes you through 19 units. But read all this information. You'll see kind of a scope of what this program is going to go into. Yes, we're going to cover calculations. We're going to cover the things that you really need to know as an electrician. And we're going to even dabble into healthcare and swimming pools and all those other things as well. But we're going to cover calculations, multifamily, single family, non-dwelling, all that stuff. And again, make sure you read all this, and it's on you to know what your state is testing on. It's not up to us. So make sure you check with your state before you purchase 17 or 2020 or 2023 to find out what your state is testing on. Because once you purchase it and you activate it, you can't switch courses, okay? These courses are all independently different. So it's important that you do your due diligence first, okay? But anyway, that's our website. That's where you get all that information from. Before I leave, I do want to tell you that you want to make sure that you also get our mobile app. And our mobile app has got so many resources for you out in the field. Go over here where it says mobile app, click on it. And you're going to see this link right here. Click on it, accept it. All it's going to do is put a little icon on your phone. The actual app is not on your phone. It's in the cloud. But you click on it and it opens up our mobile app. So many features here. We have the chat now feature, which is basically just like a TikTok, but again, it's only members of the app can see it and post things, so it's a very closed network. But you also have the Sparky Hub access here, our chat room here for support questions. You've got our Fast Tracks Tube. You got blogs on here. You even can listen to all of our podcasts. We have over nearly 1,000 episodes of podcasts on all different types of topics. You can listen right from your phone. So this is a must-have for any electrician. So make sure you get our mobile app, okay? It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. All right, folks, let's get to the lesson. I know that's what you came here for, and thank you for indulging me. All right, so this lesson today, as the questions are a little bit harder than the last 2 episodes. So make sure that you really focus and you got your code book. And again, we're in the 2023, but it shouldn't be any real difference in these questions, whether it's the 2023 or the 2020 or even the 2017, as far as these questions, okay? All right, let's get in it. All right, the first question here, remember, we're gonna try to do this by using our intuition, our understanding of the code. You can pause and use the index as well. I will point out trigger words to use the index on, but really we wanna focus here on the question. All right, so the first question is, it says, a legally required standby system shall have standby power readily within blank seconds after normal power failure. Now remember, there's a difference between emergency power, legally required power. Do you know the third one? It's optional standby power. Anytime you put a Generac or a Kohler generator at a house, that is not emergency. People say, well, emergency power. It's not. It is optional. Means the customer chose to have that. Okay. Now, emergency is dictated by the jurisdiction. It's dictated by the NEC. There's certain systems that have to have emergency power, but there's also legally required that might not be necessarily under an emergency application, but the jurisdiction or the building codes might stipulate something as a legally required standby system. Well, the time frame for an emergency generator to come on versus a legally required is different. So a emergency one has to be on very quickly, whereas a legally required can come on not as quick, but it's still relatively fast, whereas an optional, it's like whenever it's ready. You get me? So that's the difference. Now, one of the things that I teach with this one is you could obviously go back to the back of the book and look under legally required. You could look under standby, those type of things, and try to see if there's something in the index. What I like to do is, I know that there's 3 different systems, and now you do, and you will forever know that. Emergency, legally required, and optional. Well, We know these are what? Special conditions. So where are we going to go? How about we try using the table of contents? And so we're going to go to the table of contents and look up and see what we got. So I've got the code book. Now, granted, this is 2020, but as I told you, it's not going to change. So I'm going to go to the front, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to see which chapter really pertains to this, and it's a special condition. And I see that there's 700, emergency. I see there's 701, legally required, ding, 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 ding. And of course, I see 702, which is optional. Well, we're focused on legally required. So when you look under legally required, it's only 4 parts. And you'll see part 1, general, part 2, circuit wiring, part 3, source of power. Isn't that what we're talking about here? We're talking about what happens when we lose power from the normal power system, and now we have this legally required system generator kicking on, and it has to do it within a certain amount of time. But the other thing that you'll notice is this is important. You could go in this one, for example, if you already know the 3 different types of systems, you could spend a lot of time in the index, or you could look at this and go, wait a minute, this starts on page 612 and it ends on page 614. 2 pages. I've got very defined values here, 10 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 120. How about I use a bold scan technique instead, and I'm going to go right to page 612. So we're going to do that. Now, I'll do it electronically, but that's what we would do. It's only 2 pages. Bold scanning is going to help you find it quicker. So we're going to go to the code, and I'm going to go down, and we're going to go to 700, chapter 7, excuse me, we'll go to chapter 7, and we'll go to 701. And here you see, it is, again, not a lot. I'll scroll down and show you how quick this ends. That's it. It's not a lot there. 2 pages. So we're going to be bold scanning. And what are we doing? We knew that part 3 was about source of power. So we're going to skip all this, and we're going to go down to part 3. All right, sources of power. General requirement. Right here. See the 60? Sticks out to me right away. So what does it say? It says, current supply shall be such that in the event of the failure of the normal supply to or within the building or group of buildings concerned, legally required standby power will be available within the time required for the application, but not to exceed 60 seconds. So the answer to this question is 60 seconds. By the way, emergency, 10 seconds. Legally required, 60 seconds. Optional, no time frame. Okay? All right, let's go back to the question. And we're going to answer this question. We have 60 seconds, and there you go, 701.12. Next question. Y'all are doing great. All right, so the next question is, it says, bending radius of the inner edge of AC cable shall not be less than blank times the diameter of the cable. Well, this is another example why flashcards are so important. In our system, in our fast track system, you create unlimited electronic flashcards. Back in the day, we used to make flashcards out of the index cards. You write on one side the article and the other side the description, and you just work those flashcards. We don't need to do that anymore. We're in the new modern age. You can create any number of them in our program, hundreds of them. And I always recommend create the electronic flashcards for every article in the code, so that you can start going through it and being able to rattle things off. Okay, that's the key. You want to be able to rattle it off and understand that 320 is AC cable, 330 is MC cable, 334 is non-metallic sheet cable, 336 is tray cable, 338 is SC cable, 340 is UF cable. You want to be able, 430 is motors, 210 is branch circuits, 215 is feeders, 225 is outside branch circuits and feeders. You want to be able to roll these things off, because you know what? It saves you time. The second step to that is, if you learn the depthness of each article, you can realize when it behooves you to just do a technique called bolt scanning rather than go to the index. Trust me, there's a method to the madness. Follow me. When you're in my program, I teach you these things. You're jumping from the code book into the course, code book into the course. We have little chevrons. Go from the chevron into the code book. We have the world's only structured exam prep program. Everybody else just either gives you questions. You can buy questions cheap, but nobody's there to explain them to you. Nobody gives you the tips on how to dissect the question. We do that. So, there's a difference in learning the code. Now, not just for exam, but in the real world. I want you to be a better electrician. I guarantee you, without a doubt, I sleep well at night knowing that I make people better electricians that go through our program. You really do. So, enough of that. Look at the question. AC cable, 320. I happen to know that 320 is not very long. It's only a couple pages long. Now, you could go to the index and look under AC cable, and obviously you'll see something referencing bending, right? But I know that it's 320. I know we're looking for bending, and here's another little tip. You ready? Section 24 or dot 24 in most of the chapter 3 wiring methods references bending radius. So that's a little tip for you. Just like dot 10 and dot 12 are something to commit to memory in chapter 3, dot 10 is uses permitted, dot 12 is uses not permitted for that type of wiring method, okay? Just things that you want to remember because that's just everyday knowledge that's going to make you a better electrician. Dot 10s, dot 12s, dot 24s, securing and supporting, dot 30. Just kind of let those things lock into your head. It's just the battle is once you know it's 320, once you start learning those little things, then it's so much easier on you, not just for exam, but in the real world. Okay, so let's go to the code. We know it's 320. We know it's not a big, 320 is not a big article, and that's what you learn as you're studying. You go through our program, you'll realize that 320 is not very big, and you'll say, well, dude, it's not like article 250. It's a small article. So you go 320 and you get here and you start bold scanning. Now the tip to bold scanning is always bold scan the heading and then look for the triggers in the information that follows the bold heading. Okay, so not permitted, uses permitted, uses not permitted. Notice the dot 12 and dot 10 again. Here, exposed work, nope. Through parallel to framing members, nope. Attic space, nope. Bending radius. Makes sense, right? All right, so then the questions that we had was 5, 8, 10, and 12. They become very important to when you look in the body of the code language. Here, I see 5 times. Now, in our question, it was the number 5. You've got to mentally be able to distinguish this. These are little mental gymnastics that you'll get good at, trust me. In my course, you can't help but get better. You will start to feel like you're connected to the code. You just can't help but do it the way we structure it, the way we give you the chevrons, the way you're supposed to do it. All right, so anyway, here's what we've got. So the answer is the radius of the curve on the inner edge of the bend shall not be less than 5 times the diameter of the cable. So that inner edge, so if you're bending it, think about bending it around a ball. So in a ball, you've got the diameter, which is across the ball, the center out, the pivot point, that's considered the radius, and then the measurement around the ball is the circumference. We're not asking about the diameter. We're not asking about the circumference. We're asking about the radius. So the radius is basically the curvature of the ball. And you have to make sure that the cable bending around it is not bent tighter. It has to be at least 5 times the diameter of the cable. So you take the cable diameter, which is published by the manufacturer, just go to the manufacturer's website, get their product sheet, find the diameter, right, of that, okay? And again, that's what the cable is. Now the radius, you take that value, that diameter, and you multiply that times what? 5. And that's how you're developing the radius. Anyway, trust me. The key thing here is you don't want to bend to damage the cable. So if you learn all this, then what's interesting about this is that dot 24 is the same for 330 for MC. It's the same for, as far as the same location. It's not the same value, but it's also the same location in 334.24 for non-metallic sheath cable. So learn that dot 24 for your radius and your bends, and it just makes life so much easier. But in this case, the answer is 5. We're going to answer that question. There's the answer. There's our reference. Bing, bang, boom. There you go. All right, next question. All right, so this is a question that you need a little bit of got to know Ohm's law. You got to know there's two formulas here that you got to remember. Now, good news is, usually in the exam, they give you these formulas. But if not, I'm going to show you two of them, and I didn't prepare it for the screen, but I did jot these down. Is that, and wait a minute, let me write this down so I can show you these formulas. Hold on. To solve this question. All right, bear with me. Okay. All right, so here's your formulas. You have what's called an EIR and a PIE. You need to solve this for what you don't have. So let's look at this. And these are things that you can write down. Now, you get scratch paper on an exam. You also get dry erase boards sometimes on an exam. If they don't give you your pi wheels, make sure the first thing you do is write them down on your scratch paper. Do your EIR, do your PIE, okay, those type of Ohm's wheels and things like that. So these are going to help you. So let's look at this one. A conductor carries 30 amps and it's 0.5 ohms. We'll lose blank watts of power. Well, we need to solve for the W, which is the watts, which in our formula is the PIE, okay? All right, well, you put your finger over the P, and to solve it, it's I times E, right? I'll do it this way. I times E. Well, I don't know what E is, but I know what R is. I know what ohms are, and I do have the amps. So then I say, well, maybe I got to solve for E first because I need E, because that's part of that pi wheel. So I'm going to jump to this one here. And what am I need to solve for? I'm going to solve for E. So I put my finger over E. So now it's I times R. So let's do this. So I is 30 times R, which is 0.5, and that is 15. Now I take that 15, which is the E, and now I solve the one that's going to help me answer the question. Now I cover the P, and now I do I times E. Well, now we know what E is, so I'm going to go I, which is 30, times E, which is 15. All right, so we got 30 times 15, 450. Guess what? That's your wattage. You can cross-reference this and find all of this out by using the formula, right? So at the end of the day, don't be afraid to write your formulas down. If you're in an exam where they allow you to write in your code book, don't be afraid to write these in your code book. Now, a lot of times people will write these in their code book. Remember, your exam's got to allow you to do this. Don't say Paul told you to write in your code book and you get there and then they tell you can't use your code book. You need to do your due diligence. Check with the test center. They might have a bulletin available. If it's a PSI exam, go to psiexam.org and get the bulletin for your state. But in the front, you have a lot of blank space, okay, under where you got code panel members. This blank space should be where you write formulas down, okay? Over on my Facebook page, I have posted images of all types of formulas that you should write down. Hopefully you follow us over on the Facebook, Master the NEC, and search for them, you'll find them. But that's some blank pages that you can write stuff down, all different types of formulas. But again, check and make sure that your test center allows you to write in your code book. I don't want you to do it and then Paul said write in my book and then they don't let you take the exam. Don't blame me. I'm just saying. All right, so this question, 450. So it's 450 watts of power, okay? You're losing 450 watts in this scenario, okay? It's just that easy. And these are very basic, but notice how I really had to do multiple steps to do that, to be able to achieve that, right? Okay, anyway, another way you could have done this is you could have done 30 amps times 0.5 the ohms. So I would have been 30 times 0.5. That would be 15, and then you have the 15, and then you could have taken that 15 and used it in the equation PIE. Then you would have done 30 times 15, and that would have given you 450. Many ways to do it. Just get fluid in it. And we have a video on Ohm's Law that's only available on our fasttrackstube.com. Make sure we also go over series and parallel circuits. It's a great video. Check it out. Again, it's only available to subscribers and Fast Tracks Plus members. All right, next question. Doing great. And believe it or not, in some exams, that might be as much as a two math type question. Again. All right, next question. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. Let me make sure I get my thing ready. Okay, there we go. All right, blank cable is permitted to be installed as direct burial without any other protection. So basically, throw it in the earth, direct burial. Okay, well, some of these you should use deductive reasoning. And if you've been in the field as long as I have, some of these immediately, this one should be one that you answer right away. This is a good example of when I do the 3-wave method, and there's a video about that as well over on Fast Tracks 2, where I teach you my special method to do an exams called the 3-wave. I started this well over 25 years ago. It's been copied by many people, but I actually remember back as the electrical guru, many people know that it's long before the internet, well, not before internet, before YouTubes and before, it was back when AOL was around. I uploaded stuff online and I came up with this method. All right. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the owner of it. I'm not, but I believe I was the first one using it. This kind of concept of the wave technique. All right. Okay. You could say, Paul, you're full of crap, but you know, I've been around a long time. So look, you answer all the questions that you know in the first wave without even having to crack your code book open. You just know the answer. Now, if you're still waffling a little bit and you answer it, you can still electronically check it to be in your list for the second wave. But if you know it and you're in your gut, you're like, I know it, then you answer it and you move on. Because you've now taken a question that was going to give you two minutes or 2.5 minutes. You answered it in seconds. Now you get to use all that time on a harder question. And that's how you build up more time. And that's how we call it the 3-wave method. The first wave, you're answering just what you know. This is an example of you should be able to answer this by your experience and what you know, right? I mean, look at it. Non-metallic sheet cable, NM, a dry location only product. Cannot be installed outdoors, cannot be obviously installed underground outdoors. Those are all wet locations. Next one, we'll skip UF. SE cable, service entrance cable. It doesn't take you long to go to where? You guessed it, Article 338, and look at the top and look at what service entrance cable is. In fact, you can even go now in Article 100 and look under the definition, service entrance cable. It didn't say USC, by the way, it says SE. If you look at it, it's for above ground applications. It's not designed for below ground. Now, interesting, is SE cable? I am the actual patent holder of a product called a hybrid cable. It's only available by Encore Wire Corporation. I am the patent holder. It is actually an SE cable and a trade cable merged together, and it is allowed to be dumped straight into the earth. Go check it out at Encore Wire's website. It is, again, exclusive to Encore Wire. All right, next one is THHN. Well, you all know that THHN cannot be exposed without being in a raceway. It cannot be dumped into the earth. Obviously, it's not even a wet location rating. This is just THHN. It might be dual rated, THHN/THWN-2, because most of the time it is. You're on an exam, and all it says was THHN. It's irrelevant. And even THWN-2 can't be thrown in the ground either. It's got to be in a raceway. Can be in underground in a raceway, but it can't be by itself directly buried. And that's what this question is asking. The only one here that's allowed to be installed in the ground directly without any other protection on it, as far as a raceway or anything, is UF, underground feeder. It's also underground branch circuit as well, but we refer to it as underground feeder. All right, UF. Easiest question here. You should have known that right out the gate. I'm not even going to take the time to look that one up because you should know that. UF, U, underground. Simple, easy peasy. Article 340. All right. So we're gonna hit it and we'll just answer the question. There we go. 340.10. Remember what 10.10 was? Use is permitted. Notice it's asking, it's saying it is permitted. You should have your ding, ding, ding. You should be going, this is easily a .10. So if you knew that the article was 340, the question was a permitted use, you're like, oh, that's a .10. That's a no-brainer. See how this works? You're getting it. I know you're getting it. This is what our entire program does. It retrains you. It trains the mind. That's why I'm always so excited when I can present the Fast Tracks program, because it's like no other program. You might be trying to learn on your own, and that's great, but you're making it harder on yourself. Yes, you got to invest in our program, but I promise you're going to get more out of it than you ever imagined. And you're going to walk away with that investment giving you dividends forever. Not to mention, you get access to me forever, okay? I support this app. I'm personally answering these things for you. Come on, that's worth it, isn't it? All right, so let's go to the next one. Y'all are doing good. And then I told you these questions are a little harder, not super, super tough, but a little bit harder. All right, so next question. Fixture wire shall not be smaller than what? Okay, all right, think about this for a second. Fixture wire. Trigger's already going up. Ding, 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 ding. Y'all know that there's an article specifically about fixture wire, right? Y'all know that it's in there. Now, if you didn't, and what's the question? Again, every now and then I'll kind of relate to this. If you don't know, you do know that fixture wire is going to be something that's in the index, right? But you also know it's in the table of contents, and it is a wiring method, okay? But it's unique in a sense on where you got to look, because you're thinking, oh, it's kind of like it's not really a wiring method. Let me rephrase that. This is a wire, and it's fixture wire. So immediately you might thinking, well, it's in chapter 3, but it's not EMT, it's not rigid, it's not kind of a delivery system. It's just a fixture wire. So it's not going to be in chapter 3. So you're thinking, okay, where else could it be? Okay, so you're going to go to the table of contents maybe, and you're thinking, well, I'll start back at 3 because I know it's not in 3 because that's the different wiring methods and material. And then it doesn't take you any time to look and see, all right, chapter 4, equipment for general use. And then you look at real quickly and you'll see, wait a minute, there's a 402 that says fixture wires. And that's at page 260. Wow, and that's not very long because then it jumps to 440 at 263. So you're thinking, crap, this ain't very big. Fixture wire is not very big. All right, but what about the index? You're thinking, oh, crap, I don't know anything about fixture wire. So I'm going to go back in the back of the book and I'm going to look under fixture wire. And you know something's going to be there, right? So let's see. Let me see if I see anything under fixture wire. You know, fixture wires, Article 402. But then you look at it and go, well, what are we asking about? Wire sizes. Look down real quick. Minimum size, right there. It says 402.6. Folks, that's seconds. But maybe you're the kind of guy or gal that says, I know, Paul, I've done my research. That's a very small article. I'm looking for minimum size. That's something that I should see. So I'm going to just go to 402 and I'm going to bold scan. Okay, that's you. Let's do it. All right, we're going to go down and we're going to, if I can get my mouse over here, we're going to go down to 402. We've identified that out. All right, we let everything run through our mind. Here's 402. Now, if I was bold scanning, I'm looking, ampacity is not what it asked. Minimum size. You know? What did that take? Nothing, right? Plus the triggers in the question. It said 10, 12, 16, 18. These are triggers. So not only minimum size, but we see fixture wire shall not be smaller than 18 gauge. It's just that easy, folks. So we come back over to the question. And you go, boom, 18, 402.6. Folks, it's really, once you get really good at it, it becomes so much easier and fluent to be able to do these things. Okay, be a little tough for you. Let's do one more in this episode, and we'll test you out. We're gonna be a little bit more, okay? Because I love you. I want to give you more. So let's go. Another question. All right. Are we going to test your mental ability here, folks? Exam prep condition, real world condition. Think about these things. Let's look at this question. A service entrance conductor for a single family dwelling with a 120, 240 volt, 200 amp overcurrent protected device. So we've already established the overcurrent protection device size. It's 200 amps in this question. As a main disconnect shall require a minimum blank AWG copper conductor. Okay. So the first thing that somebody will say to me is, Paul, I don't know the loads. I got to do a load calculation, things like that. And I'm like, no, there's some triggers here. Have you ever heard me refer to the term of the 83% rule as long as all the conditions apply? That is not an exception. That is an allowance in the code. And it's found under 310.12. I already know that it's a single family dwelling, which is one of the caveats. I already know that it's a 120, 240 volt system. So we know this is a 3-wire system, 2 hots and a neutral. And it tells me the rating of the overcurrent device. It's a 200 amp. It's really all I need for this question. And so a lot of people will get hung up on this and say, oh, well, oh God, I got to go to 310.16 and pick a conductor under copper, because it says it's a copper conductor. I got to go under the 75. I got to do all of this. But there are allowances in the code, and this is one of those examples where we said we weren't going to use index. We're going to teach you that if you meet all the conditions, then there's a thing called, we refer to it as the 83% rule, okay? And so let's go look at that. Where's that at in the code? Now, if you're in the 2017 code and you're watching this, it's 310.15b7. If you're in the 2020 code, it's 310.12. If you're in the 2023 code, it's also 310.12, okay? Didn't move. Now, let's go look at it real quickly. So we'll go to the code. And this is an example of one that it's not so much searching through the code, all right? Because this is one that I want you to listen to me. I want you to understand that when you're doing a calculation and it's a single family dwelling, you get to use 310.12, right? So, but if all the caveats that are in there aren't applicable, then you can't use it, and you're just going to go size it based on 310.16, which is the ampacity table. But here, since there's no other conditions of use given, it doesn't say ambient temperature, it doesn't say the number of current conductors, it's nothing. So you get to go straight to 310.12, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take us there. 310.12. Now, notice some things here. Single phase, dwelling, service, and feeders, okay? For one family dwellings and the individual dwelling units of a two-family or multifamily, not the whole multifamily. The individual units, you're allowed to apply 310.12 as long as it is a single phase, 122 40-volt system. You are permitted to size it based on 310.12a through D. And of course, if you're in the 2017, it's 310.15b7, and you have the different numbers there, right? B1, B2, all that kind of stuff, all right? B7, B7.1, B7.2, all that kind of stuff. All right, so, again, 2017. Who's still on that? All right, so anyway, all right, now, that's what we're going to be looking at, okay? Now, also, just for your mind, you're thinking, well, can I ever use it on a three-phase system? No, you can't use it on the three-phase, but you can use it on the single phase that is derived from a three-phase, where we take two of the phases and a neutral, okay? Then that would be allowable here, and that is a 208 120-volt system, okay? So again, but in our question, it's a single family, so we get to ignore all of that and really focus on this. And so we go down. Now, since ours is a service, we're stopping at A. But if it had been a feeder, there's B, okay? So we're looking here, and it says, for a service rated 100 amps through 400, well, we already know ours is 200, because that's what they already gave us in the question. It says the service conductor is supplying the entire load associated with the one family dwelling. Let me explain that. When something says that it's the entire load, it means that every single load that's in that dwelling is going to be pulled through those service conductors, right? So that means it's coming to a panel in every branch circuit, every load's going in there. So those service conductors are going to see the full effect of all of those loads. So those conductors are dealing with the entire load. That's so important. Why? Because if I was doing an application where I had an outside and I had a panel outside, and then now it comes in, and let's say it's a feed-through panel, and now it's feeding a panel inside, or another panel that's the service panel, but it's feeding through, yet I have some lug breakers in there that are feeding some loads that might be close to that panel. Anytime that the conductors from that panel to the other disconnect or whatever equipment, if that's not seeing all of the loads in the dwelling, then I cannot use this allowance for those conductors, right? It's not seeing the entire load, so it wouldn't be able to do that. So a good example of this is a feeder application, same rule, but let's say I was coming down through the meter, and then I come down and I hit an outside disconnect. It might be the emergency disconnect, but it's also the service disconnect. And then from the load side of that, I'm feeding a panel, remote distribution panel inside the dwelling, right? So let's say that outside service disconnect also is a panel with breakers in it, right? So from the point of attachment down through the meter to that service disconnect, those conductors are seeing the entire load of the dwelling, whatever's in that panel plus the remote panel downstream. So 310.12 would apply. However, the conductors that are going to the remote distribution panel is the feeder now. And so that would take us down to B. And again, that feeder can use the same rule, the 83%, but that feeder is not seeing the entire load, right? Because some of the breakers are outside at the service. So I could not use 310.12 for that feeder. Now, it doesn't have to be larger than what the service conductors would be, and that tells you that right here. So in no case does that feeder need to be larger than what the service would be. In case your calculation for that feeder ended up being a larger cable than what it was supplying the outside panel, then it doesn't have to be larger than the one outside. That's what that note says. What I'm trying to hammer home is, to use this 83% rule, the conductors that you're sizing in this question has to see the contribution from the entire load of the dwelling, not some of it, all of it, to be able to apply this rule. So in our question, it didn't say anything else. It just says it's a 200 amp panel, and that's going to see everything in this dwelling. It didn't imply anything otherwise. So that's where we're going to be using the 83% on that 200 amp. So let's go look at it. So here's what it says right here. It says we have to establish that it's 100 through 400, and it is. It says that it shall be permissible to have an ampacity, okay, of not less than 83% of the service rating. The service rating is that 200 amp. The service rating is the disconnecting means. That's the rating of that overcurrent device. That is the rating, okay? In this case, it's 200. Now, again, as long as no other adjustment or corrections are in play, means we don't have more than 3 current carrying conductors, we don't have an ambient temperature that is other than 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and the service, again, whether or not your inspector knows how to do that outside anyway, probably not. I'm sure none of you actually correct for that. I'm just saying. So if that's the case, then I simply can go down here to this table. So here's the 200 amp rating, and copper right here, it'd be a 2-aught, and that's it. Now, if you go to 310.16, that would need to be a 3-aught, but here it can be a 2-aught, and you're perfectly okay. Make sense? All right, so that's important. We sometimes call this the smaller service conductor rule. But again, you have to meet all of those caveats to be able to use this. Otherwise, you're just going to size it in 310.16, okay? But don't think this is an exception. This is not an exception. This is an allowance. It's in the code. So people ask me on an exam, when would I apply this? And the answer to that is you would apply this anytime those variables are in play. 120-volt system, 3-wire service, and it handles 100% of the loads, and your load calculation puts it between 100 and 400, then you're perfectly okay. Sorry about that, folks. That's just is, you know, I'm recording and I've got loudness around me sometimes. So, but I'm not going to do this video over because I'm 45 minutes into it. So I'm going to keep going. All right. So in that case, we're coming back. And as we saw, it would be 2-aught. And there's our reference, 310.12. Okay. All right. So that's a lot of information. Hopefully you get something out of it. And that's important to understand it. And that's what we're going to go with today. And we're going to stop right there for that video. We got one more video in this series. The questions get a little tougher. But here's the thing, folks. If you're interested in a structured program, you really want to learn the National Electrical Code, then I'm going to encourage you to go over to our website. And on my website, you can see we have the exam preps right here. If you already are licensed and you want to get better at residential, we have residential courses that deep dive. I mean, deep dive into residential wiring. Maybe you got 4 or 5 guys in your crew and you want to all be on the same page. Residential is the way to go. Same for commercial, same for industrial. We even have a grounding and bonding course. If you've ever struggled with asking about service bonding, supply side bonding, jumper sizing, all these type of things, electrodes and how that works, our grounding and bonding course is beyond compare. And it's basically in the same structure as all of our other courses. So I encourage you to check it out. All right. All of that's on our website. The URL's down below. Check it out, folks. Anyway, hey, thank you for spending some time with me today. We'll catch you in episode 4. Hope you learned something about it. Till next time, stay safe. God bless. Hey folks, don't go away. Thanks for watching the series on exam prep. Look, if you want to learn the National Electrical Code, there's nobody out there in this industry that can teach you the code any better than me. I will walk you step by step through. We have the best illustrations. We have competency review questions to test your knowledge. Look, if you're trying to learn the NEC, then you need to get in our Fast Tracks program. Not only that, is you get mobile apps, you get message boards, you get chat. There's so many ways for you to connect with us and ask questions. Hey, look, if you're trying to learn the National Electrical Code, our Fast Tracks program can do it. Now, maybe you already got your license and you're doing residential and you want to get better at residential. Guess what? We got a Fast Tracks Red. That's residential deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Green. That's commercial deep dive. We have Fast Tracks Blue, industrial electrical codes deep dive. We have grounding and bonding. We even have electrical theory. In fact, we even have courses for HVAC technicians to learn the electrical part of their job and help diagnose and troubleshoot issues. So we have all this stuff on our website. What's our website look like? Let's go and look. Here's a website, folks, really quickly. This is what it looks like if you're on a browser. You can go up here and look at the courses. We have them all listed right here. You click on courses, you will actually see a list of them here. But if you hover over it, you'll see all the courses right here. If you're studying for an electrical exam, you can choose the Fast Tracks Black or the Plus. What's the difference? The Plus gives you access to 12 months of videos over on our separate Fast Tracks Tube platform. Not here, but on our separate platform. Don't worry, you'll get instructions to how to do that when you buy the course. But if you want to get the videos, then you choose the Plus. If you just want the exam prep course itself, which is the same whether it's the Plus or the Black, then you would just click on Fast Tracks Black. Now, the other thing that I will tell you, when you're here, make sure you watch this demo. This is an amazing demo. It's going to show you all the little things about the course. It's going to show you the chevrons. It's going to show you how to use the features. It's going to show you what it's like to be in our program. And I think it's going to blow your mind because up until now, if you're watching this, you probably just kind of stumbled through the NEC or flipping back and forth or bought somebody's videos. That's their commentary. That's not teaching you anything. This is exam prep. I want to give you illustrations. I want to give you content. All right, and then I want to test you on it. At the end, we have competency reviews. I personally grade these reviews. That's what sets us apart. So, hey, I appreciate you watching this video series. Hopefully you check us out. Go to this website right here. And please, I appreciate all of you and all of your faith you put in me to teach you. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I have created a system, whether you're pre-licensed or post-licensed, to help you learn the NEC. So hopefully you'll check out my videos, you'll subscribe to my channel, you'll become a Fast Tracks member, you'll download our mobile app, and you'll watch the next edition of this series. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here. Thanks for joining me on episode 4, our exam prep adventure here at Fast Track Systems and Electrical Code Academy. Now, we've worked our way, you've seen some basic journeyman, some basic knowledge type of questions. We looked a little bit, we had an Ohm's Law type question. And we kind of moved our way up a little bit and we're getting a little tougher questions. Now, look, there are many people out there that struggle in the field learning the National Electrical Code. So you're not alone. And people really struggle with the NEC. In fact, as we've learned lately in a little experiment that I've done on social media, it's amazing how many people really don't know the National Electrical Code. And at the end of the day, every installation we do has its involvement with understanding codes. Sometimes we just get complacent and we think we know something when we really don't. Now, the Fast Tracks program is designed to teach you the fundamentals of what you need to know, not just to pass an exam, but to make you a much better electrician. So if you've never heard of our Fast Tracks program before, I want to let you look at it really quickly. And I want you to see how you go about buying our course if you want to get into the best structured National Electrical Code preparation exam program out there. This is how you do it. Okay, so we're going to look at our website really quickly. And you're going to see that the questions that we're looking at today are part of our database of questions. In fact, these are the newer ones that have been added to our database. And so in order to get these questions, but really the meat and potatoes is the 19 units. And there is tons of competency questions at the end of every one of those units that I personally grade and give you feedback on. Now, when you do those, they're not going to be easy. They're fill in the blank. You're going to have to give your code reference. It's tough. So while you think maybe you're proficient in the NEC and you've been looking at some books and watching some videos on YouTube, our system is going to really test you. It really is. And you're going to be questioning what you thought you knew because we're going to deep dive. There's no other course like it. We've manipulated the course. We've added things where necessary. We've done a lot of things that make it unique. And it's going to teach you the National Electrical Code. The competency reviews are going to be challenging. Now, the questions that we're looking at in this series come from the latest database that we've added to the program. So again, you're going to get over 1,200 exam style questions in addition to the competency review questions. So we're talking literally close to 1,600 questions that are going to test your ability to be able to understand the National Electrical Code. Now, if you want to get information on our courses, you just go to our website. You see the URL on the screen at the bottom. And over on our website, you're going to see that we have, if I can get my mouse here, you're going to see up here at the top, here's our courses. We have courses for post-licensing, residential, commercial, grounding and bonding, industrial wiring, even HVAC electrician stuff that help you diagnose and troubleshoot if you're an HVAC electrician. So many courses here, grounding and bonding, but a lot of people like you are probably looking at it for exam prep, or maybe you've already got your license and you just want to get better at the code. That's what our Fast Tracks Black and Plus program is all about. All right, so on the website, here you see, right here, you see electrical programs, and you see the Fast Track budget, you see the Black and the Plus. So these are our general exam prep and general NEC knowledge courses. If you wanted to deep dive into something like you've already got your license and you're a residential guy or gal, and you want to get deeper, then you'll see down here we have the red program. That goes deep into electrical, okay, into the residential, room by room by room. Not what I'd use for an exam prep, okay? Same with the commercial one down here, the green, same with the blue for industrial. Here you see the purple for the grounding and bonding. Okay, those are not exam prep. Those are to enhance your knowledge and become more proficient in your trade, okay? Move up the ladder of success. That's what those are about. If you're doing exam prep or learning the NEC, then you want to be focusing on these. Now, the difference, the budget's just the program, and you access that through our website, not on a separate server. That one's the only courses we have that you access it through our website. The difference with that, you don't get access to me and you don't get the support from us. It's just the course material in a linear type of format. The competency reviews, you grade yourself, you get the answer keys. You don't really get support, and we can't support you because that's why that course is so much less. Now, the one course that people buy the most is our Black course. Now, the Black and the Plus are exactly the same. The only difference is the Plus gives you 12 months of access to our video platform. We have tons of videos on all different things over there, code changes, calculations. Some people want them and some people don't. But rather than pay separately on that website, which is fasttrackstube.com, here if you get the Plus, you get that included in your purchase. Now, most people will purchase the Fast Tracks Black, which is fine, but the Plus gives you a little more, but the base program is exactly the same. Now, what you do is click on the Black, for example, And what you want to do is you want to read this information. You're going to see that everything that we're going to cover, here's your options for the 2017, 2020, or 2023. Make sure you check and see what you're testing on in your area, because I can't determine that for you. You need to contact your testing center and find out what your state is testing on. All right, our systems are not transferable. It means if you buy the 2020 and your state changes, you can't jump to the 2023. We can't do that. Sorry. What you buy is what you get. Okay, it's just the way it is. Now, you can watch this video. It'll explain all the things that we go through in the course, all the neat features that you need to be familiar with. So before you buy our program, I recommend you watch this little video, because it's going to give you a better sense of what you're going to experience in the program. And then you can read down here and see what we're going to cover. I mean, we're covering everything, right? From residential calculations to spacing of receptacles to the general knowledge stuff to one family dwelling calculations, both the standard and optional method. We're going to do multifamily dwellings, 6-unit and a 12-unit building complex. All those things. We're going to talk about commercial buildings and all those calculations. There's a lot of stuff that we're covering in 13 units, right? So it is not for somebody who thinks they know everything, and you go into this, you're going to be shocked at what you learn. I guarantee you, because this is what student tells us all the time. We are shocked that they didn't know the amount of information that's in a program like this. Okay, so there you go. There's where you go. You go to our website, you follow our navigation up here. Now, if you happen to be on mobile and you come to our website, it won't look like that. Here's what it'll look like. It'll actually look a little bit easier to view. It's a mobile view. And you basically can go to these 3 little lines up here and click that. And what it'll do is it'll open up, if I can click it, it'll open up the navigation menu. Or you can just scroll down. If you're doing exam prep or you're just getting a good NEC course, scroll down and you'll see this thing that says test. Click on the test icon. And that will take you right to where all of the NEC learning courses based on the Fast Tracks Black or the Plus, they're all going to be right there. So easy to navigate, but also make sure you get our mobile app. It is totally free. Where do you get our mobile app? Well, our mobile app is right here. Click on mobile app on our website, and right here, click on this link from your phone. If you have a desktop and you see that QR code, then scan the QR code with your phone. It will put it on your phone and accept it and let it put it on your home screen. We're not going to load anything on your phone. We're not trying to get your information, okay? We're not TikTok in China, okay? All it is a link to our PWA app that's in the cloud, but it works on your phone like a mobile app. And we've got so many tools and resources. I'll show you what the app kind of looks like. And here's what the app looks like. If you get into it and you click it, just like that. You have all these things on the side that you can scroll up and down. You get access to our podcasts. We have over 1,000 episodes. You got the Sparky Hub. You got the chat room. You've got the Chat Now feature, which is basically like a TikTok. And this is an awesome feature because I post questions and things in there, and you can post stuff, and it's only viewable by those that have the app, okay? And we literally have hundreds and hundreds of people that have now downloaded the app, and it's getting close to, I think, 1,000. So again, get the app. It's free, available on our website. And there's also calculators in here. There's other resources, so many things to make your job easier. You can even read blogs from here, okay? Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to our lesson for today. All right, folks, getting a little bit more complicated as we move into this for the kind of master level type of questions. But again, it shouldn't discourage you if you're a journeyman. You really want to dig in anyway. So make sure you jump into it here. All right, angle connectors for LFMC, liquid tight flexible metallic conduit, shall not be used for blank raceway installations. All right, so can I use these angle connectors? Basically, they look like right angle pieces, and they really turn an angle sharp. Can I use, and they have an open back. Can I use these in a certain application? Elevated, concealed, exposed, or even open? So here's the way we look at this. Now, you can go to the index and start fuddling around, but I'm going to tell you, by now you should know that the LFMC has its own specific article, folks. And in that article, we know that that's not very big. It can be very big if it's just for liquid tight flexible metallic conduit. It's not big. So my recommendation would be to go right to it. Now, that's why it's so important for you to learn the articles, Because when you see this and you see LFMC and you notice it's asking about a connector, specifically an angle one, then your mind should be, oh, that's easy. Article 350, boom. And that's where you're gonna go. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Article 350, which deals with LFMC. And I'm in my code. And by the way, for those that wanna ask, this is link, okay? Does not have the index. So today, in these episodes, we're trying to use our deductive reasoning, learning our skills from learning the different articles, and trying to identify when an article is fairly short so that we know that we can just go on there and save us a lot of time and bold scan if we don't know the answer already. And you may know the answer already, and I tell you, fast track students probably already knew the answer to this because it's covered in our program. Anyway, let's go down. So we're gonna go to 350 right here. So as you can see, this is LFMC right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to bold scan. And what are we looking for? We're looking about connectors, connecting applications. So we're going to go down. Let's see here. Use is not permitted. No. Sizing. No. Bins. Not what the question's about. Trimming. No. Securing and supporting. Nope. Support. Couplings and connectors. Boom. That's what we were looking for. Connectors. So what does it say here? Only fittings listed for use with LFMC shall be used. So you can only use fittings that are actually listed by a third party, NRTL, for use with LFMC. It says angle connectors shall not be concealed. You can't get any more straightforward than that, folks. That took us less than 10, 15 seconds if you follow the normal chain of action. Means immediately knew it was 350. You immediately went to 350. You had a tab for it, and you get down and you start bold scanning. Literally, your answer is right there. You quickly pop back over, and you know the answer is concealed, and there's your reference, 350.42, okay? Literally that quick. Now, you could have probably gone to the back and gone under LFMC, probably could have gone down and it would have said connectors or couplings, and that would have got you there because you know you're talking about connectors. But again, bold scanning is important technique to learn. And it's not difficult. You just start out by going and scanning each one of the headings of the sections. And then remember that you have words that are in your question. And once you dissect it out, you're looking for those triggers. And you just got to get used to scanning and quickly looking at it and being able to absorb the information and just move on. And you'll get better as you keep practicing it, okay? And that's why I say when you're preparing and you have a good set of questions, don't be in a hurry to answer those questions. Take your time. Remember, you don't need to time yourself until you get down to the last 2 weeks. Slow and methodically examine a question, see which words you might help you in the index, okay? And look those things up. And slowly you'll build up this technique where you'll learn that, no, I don't need to go to the index for that because I know that's not there. And you'll actually gain this memory. Your capacity to remember will grow, and you'll be able to look at this and say, concealed. It's an obvious choice, okay? Next question. A maximum continuous load that may be placed on a 150 amp fuse is... Okay, so you're looking at this one going, okay, I know what's going on here. So this is saying the maximum continuous load on this. Now, I didn't tell you whether this is a branch circuit. I didn't tell you whether this was a feeder. All it says is a maximum continuous load that can be placed on a 150 amp fuse. I always will typically say, all right, we'll just start with the branch circuit. The good news here is it's the same regardless. So whether you get your reference in 210 for branch circuit or 215 for feeder, okay, it's all gonna be the same concept here. It's a continuous load, and we're looking to see what a value. So where do we go for this? So one of the things you could do is go to the index, and I do this at least once in every one of these last 4 episodes. I will do it for this one. I'll just go and pick branch circuits. And I'm gonna go look in branch circuits and see what I see. And feel free to pause the video and do that yourself. And I'll go into branch circuits and see, okay, let me look and see if it says anything, branch circuits, and then maximum continuous load. So I'm looking down branch circuit to see if anything, conductors. Well, now I do see conductors says minimum ampacity. Okay, so I look at that, but again, we're talking about a fuse, so we know it's an overcurrent device. So I'm gonna keep looking here. and I'm looking down and I'm going down and I'm saying, okay, I'm still under it. Individual, oh, wait a minute, individual, and then overcurrent protection. 210.20. That's definitely something I'm going to write down. Then I'm going to go down a little further, and I see overcurrent protection, 210.20. Now, I know that I'm talking about it's very specific, right, for the branch circuit, but it could have been also for the feeder. But what's a common thread here? 210.20, great place to start. Let me give you another hint. If you're on an exam and you're using the index, once you're back there, make sure you write down all the relevant sections. Maybe there's another one in 240, maybe there's another one. Write them down so you don't have to go back again, okay? It's important. And then always go to the lowest value one and work your way up. And again, it's kind of like bold scanning, but once you go there, scan it really quickly. If it's not germane, then you look down and you go to the next reference, okay? All right, so in our case, 210.20 is where we wanted to start, all right? So, but what I'm going to do is that's what we do if we do the index. I'm just going to go to what? 210, branch circuits. That's where I'm going to go first. So let's do that because I want to stick with the theme of these lessons here and kind of just use our knowledge base to do this. So I'm going to go to 210. Bear with me while I find it on the screen here. There we go. All right, so I'm at 210. And what I'm looking for is something that deals with the continuous load, overcurrent protection, that type of thing. So 210.2 is not helping me. 210.1, nope. Quickly going through it. Identify branch, nope. Just kicking through. Branch circuit voltage, nope. Not what the question's about. Okay. Multiple branch, nope. GFCI, nope. Just keep doing it that quickly, folks. Going through these, it gets a bunch of them. 210.9, nope. 210.10, nope. Has nothing to do with the taps. Branch circuit requirements, nope. Nope, it's not AFCI. See how quickly I'm doing this? I'm just kind of going through it. GFP, nope. 210.17, nope. Nothing to do with that. Branch circuit ratings. 210.18, the rating, nope. And that doesn't germane to anything in our question. So we're going looking down and it's saying, okay, minimum circuit capacity. Nope, really doesn't answer our question. And then we keep on going down and we go, overcurrent protection. Boom, right there. The question said maximum continuous load. What does it say right here? Continuous and non-continuous. Now, folks, this might be something that's been ingrained in you all along. When we're doing calculations for conductors, we know that continuous loads are taken at 125% and non-continuous loads are taken at 100% of whatever the value is of the load. Same thing with the overcurrent device here. Unless the overcurrent device is marked to handle 100%, typically they're going to be limited to 80%, which is a reciprocal of 125, okay? And if that confused you, then do the math. If I take this, let me show you how that reciprocal works first. All right, so let me show you. So down here, it says right here, 125% of the continuous load. Our question was continuous load. So let's take that with the question. So if we know that 150 amp fuse, right, is basically continuous load, that means it's got to be limited to 125%. Well, the reciprocal of 125 is 80. So you take that 150, remember that, folks. You're not going to see 80 in here. You're going to see 125. So you need to learn what the reciprocal means, 80%. Okay? So if I take that 150 and I multiply that by 0.80, that gives me 120. If I take that 120, multiply that by 1.25, that's 150. So remember, folks, here's a good lesson for you. If they give you say something's a continuous load and they give you an overcurrent device and they don't say that device is rated for 100% use, okay? So if they don't say that, then you know that it's going to be limited by 210.20. And it's also the same for feeder applications as well. All right, so what you got to do is say, okay, well, if you gave me the breaker, then I'm going to do that by 80%. And that's going to be the load that's going to be 80% of the rating of the breaker. But if I was doing a conductor and I had the load and I say it was 100, I've sized a conductor for 120 amps and I have to take that as a continuous load, then I'm going to do that at 125%. and then it has to be, it can be on a 150 amp breaker, because the 150 at 80% is 120. The 120 at 125% is 150. You see, that's the reciprocal. So if they give you the breaker, just multiply that by 80%. If they give you the load itself and say this is 120 amps of continuous load, what's the size of the breaker? Then you go 120 times 1.25 or 125%, and that's the size of the breaker. You see how that works? That's the reciprocal. So for you on an exam, be very aware of what they ask you. Are they giving you the breaker or the overcurrent protection, or are they giving you the load itself? And if they give you the load as continuous load, then you take that at 125%. If they're giving you the breaker, then you multiply that by 80%, because 80 is the reciprocal of 125. That's how it works. Beautiful thing, right? All right, so let's answer this question. And the answer is 120. And there you go, 210.20a. I want to show you that it's the same thing for feeder, by the way, because again, there are always those critics out there who don't say this. So we'll go look at 215, and here it is as well. See this right here? All right, and you get down, let me show you here, overcurrent protection, same thing right here. 125% of the continuous load, same thing. So in this case, it just happens to be 215.3, and in the branch circuit, it's 210.20. You with me? Okay. It's a lot of stuff. I tell you what, the National Electrical Code is not an easy document to learn, but you're already ahead of most people because you show your dedication to want to learn. And those students that are in our Fast Tracks program, you know what? You're on your way. You're on your way to be the leader, the person in your company that people go to, because you become, you know, people can make fun of people that study code and say, well, they don't know how to do it. I know how to pull cable and run conduit. They don't get it's the mental part that puts you above them. I can train a monkey to bend conduit. I can train a monkey to pull cables, okay? Give them a treat, put it in their hand, and tell them to pull, and they'll learn it, okay? But do you learn the mental game? Why are you doing it? Why are you worried about raceway bending? And why are you worried about how many conductors I can put in a raceway? Or what's the amps I can put on a conductor or an overcurrent device? And all? That's the mental part. You're doing it every day. You just don't know it because somebody's probably telling you to do it, but you're not doing it because you know why you're doing it. That's why I created this program. Not just to help you pass an exam, but to really make you a better electrician, really. Okay, next question. Y'all are doing great. All right. Ooh, questions get a little harder for us, you know, a little bit more. So next question. D-rating factors, okay? It says, let's see here. The D-rating factors in 310.15C1, and that, of course, is when you have more than 3 current-carrying conductors, shall be applied only where the number of current-carrying conductors in an auxiliary gutter, okay? Ding, ding, ding. Obviously, auxiliary gutter is where we're going to be, including neutral conductors classified as current-carrying conductors. So a neutral is not always current-carrying conductor if it's carrying the imbalanced load, but there are certain types of systems, right? A three-phase full-wire Y type of system, when you have a certain number of nonlinear loads and things like that, well, the neutral will actually become current-carrying, so you got to understand that. But we're talking about auxiliary gutters, and it says, again, including neutral conductors classified as current-carrying under the provisions of 310.15B5 exceed what? Okay, so 20, 25, 30, or 50, okay? So we're talking about the number of conductors before we have to start worrying about demand factors. So first thing we learned is what? Auxiliary gutters. Do you know what article it is? Do you? That's why you create those electronic flashcards. We got tons of them built into our system in our program, but you can create unlimited numbers, and I always recommend that you do that. You create those flashcards electronically, and at the end of every study session, you grill yourself with about 10 flashcards, okay? Even if you don't get them right away, that's all right. Flip them over and read it and read it and read it, and just get into that. Get into this routine. That's the difference between just studying the code and you have no clue, and you might pass the exam, but you're not going to learn anything from it. You're going to be no better off than you were before you started. Whereas in our program, you're going to come away learning, plus you're going to be able to learn this. and you're going to be so much more knowledgeable. Okay, again, anybody can learn to be repetitious, but it's the knowledge that's the key. So what article? Well, if you created a flashcard, you'll know that we're dealing with what? Article 366. Go to it. Let's do it. Bold scan. Now, you could go to the index and look under auxiliary gutter, and it probably has something in there about this, okay? Derating or demand or something to that nature. But we know that 366 is not big. It's not massive. So I'm going to go there. So I'm going to go to the code, and I'm going to go to 366. And let's see here, right here. We're in auxiliary gutter, and I will show you this is not big. Look, I'm scrolling. Dude, that's it. That is not big at all. In fact, as far as it goes, I believe it goes up to section 120, but there's a lot of them missing. Like it jumps from 100 to 120, and it jumps from 60 to 100 as far as sections. So it's not big at all. You'll learn that going through this course, and it's going to make the biggest difference because bold scanning is your best friend when it comes to understanding the size. Now, if it's a 250 question for grounding and bonding, the index, get used to it, right? Or if you can identify the different parts, then you can jump to the part because that's a big article. You'll get better. Trust me. You'll become that guru. You'll become that go-to person. So in this case, we're bold scanning, and we're looking to talk about the number of current carrying conductors in that gutter. So we're going to be scanning down, and we're looking, all right? So there's nothing there. We're in part 2, installation, not use print. Okay, number of conductors, all right? Well, we're looking at what? Well, we're trying to determine not just the number, right? But we're trying to determine what happens when we got to initiate, what's going to change the ampacity, right? Because at the end of the day, what does 310.15c1 deal with? It deals with the ampacity of a conductor and what can change that ampacity based on a condition of use. We're not asking what's the percentage fill for how many conductors we can actually put in this raceway. Put in this gutter. Important distinction. We're not, I don't want to call it a raceway. We're putting in this gutter, okay? Somebody's going to slap me for that. All right, so, but again, in the 2026 NEC, that could all, or 2029, that could all change, but don't get me started on that. Okay, so we have an auxiliary gutter, all right? We're not talking about how many conductors we can put in it. We're talking about the effects of ampacity on it. So that's going to take us down to right here. Ampacity of the conductors. And to see what it says, the adjustment factors in 310.15c shall apply only where the number of current carrying conductors, including neutrals, exceeds 30. Remember the question? There was 20, 25, 30, and 50. What I don't want you to do is accidentally go here and pick 20 because that's the percentage of fill. Okay, down here, we're talking about what? The number of conductors. Okay, big difference. So we come back here, choose 30, and there you go, 366.23a. Okay, next question. Y'all are kicking butt. All right, flexible cords that are rated for applications over 600 volts and are 12 AWG and larger shall be what? Okay, all right, so in this question here, a couple things have to come to mind right away. Flexible cords. If you know your articles and you're like, okay, I've got the different articles, then you'll immediately know that there is an article specifically for flexible cords if you've done your flashcards. All right, it's flexible cords and cables. This falls under Article 400. Now, granted, flexible cords is a trigger word. I could have gone back in the back in the index, and I can look under flexible cords, and let's see what we got. Again, I do this from time to time. But this episode, we're pretty much going off our knowledge, building on our knowledge, and we know, you should know, if you do your flashcards, if you learn the different articles, that this is Article 400, and you know that 400 is not big, so I would go to 400, right? But we're going to look real quick and see if there's anything in here, flexible cords. So I'm going to be looking. And let's see here, flexible cords. It says C cords. So I'm going to go back to cords. I've already spent more time than I want in this index. So I'm going to go back to cords. And like I said, for me, I know it's small. I know this is a size requirement. It's something that I know I'm going to be bold scanning for. I'm looking for these references: copper only, solid, not used, stranded. But again, let's follow our course of action here. I'm going to go under chords. And let's see here, chords. Where's it at? It's already slower than normal because, again, I can't see squat. Y'all already know this. We got conductors. And we got the chords. Okay, chords. And then you see, looking down the chords here, now keep in mind what we're looking for, sizes. So chords, I'm looking down. It's flexible. But under chords, I'm looking down. And I see flexible, and that already tells me it's article 400. I already got that part. Then under flexible, you notice that under flexible, you have some indentions, kind of comes out to the right. That means these are other things under flexible. So it's under chords, but it's flexible, and it does another subdivision under that. And I'm going to look down and see what we've got. Ampacities, okay, well, still 400. Look down and see here if there's anything that I can see that's going to help me. I'm still looking, uses permitted, tables, everything like that. Yeah, nothing overtly that I stick to down here that would have said to me, Paul, this is anything that's overtly beneficial. I don't really see anything else here. Let me just look at it again. And I can promise you, I've spent more time in here than I would have if I was taking an exam. Why? Because I know that 400 is not big at all. So I would say, forget that jack, and I'm going to 400. Because I know that that's flexible chords. So again, time management. We'll go to 400. You'll get better at it. 400 is not big. Again, kind of scroll through it and let you see what it is. It's really not big, and everything is laid out pretty good here. So what we're looking for, all right? So we're going to kind of scan these. Suitability, the type, not the question we're looking at. All right, so here's ampacity tables, right? But you're thinking, okay, but that's ampacity. But this is a question about what? Sizing, okay? And associated information with sizing. So let's kind of keep looking. And see. Also, we're looking at the answers. Stranded, solid. You might find something in here, but a real quick look at this. Bold's looking over it really quickly doesn't give us any of that information. It pertains more directly about the actual flexible chord itself. So I'm going to scroll down. Uses permitted, not permitted. Nope. Splices, nope. All right. Overcurrent protection, nope. Damage, nope. Labels, nope. Construction. No, not really. Doesn't need anything in there. I guess it could help me. Let's see here. I'm going to go a little further. Construction. All right, well, this sounds like it's part of what's asking in the question, right? So if we look at the question is talking about, really, it's kind of like its construction, isn't it? It's telling you what's the size of the conductors to be inside of it. So again, it doesn't say construction. And you might be able to get this answer from multiple places, but this is kind of, to me, rings out. It's like, well, you're talking about the conductors that are in it. So it's all about the construction of the flexible chord. And so that might lead me to that. All right. So I'm going to be here. Again, index is not the holy grail, folks. And this is why when you go through our program, you will have learned this. And so that it's not something you would have had to go look up. You would just know that a flexible chord has an allowance and that it's something that you know that it just has to be. So as you go through here, we're talking about the conductors in the construction. And it says the conductors shall be 12 copper or larger and shall employ flexible stranding. Okay? So it's not about being solid. It's not about not used. It's not about copper only. It's about stranding. And there it is, 400.31a. Again, this is not helpful for the index, but these are little things that you'll learn in a course. Now, if you're just flipping through the code, you're never going to remember that. But what I promise you now that you're going to remember that is flexible chords, and in our program we talk about it and give you illustrations, you're going to say, I got it. In a flexible cord, it can be 12 and larger, then it's got to be stranded. There you go. Okay. Let's do another one. Y'all are doing great, and we're going to give you another one in this program here today. All right. Next one we've got here, it says the size of the feeder circuit grounded conductor shall not be smaller than that required by what? 220.61, 250.66, 250.122, or 310.15b16. Now, this is a 2023 edition, and we know that there isn't any 310.15b16 anymore, so either they made an error or they're trying to throw you, so I can immediately discard that one and increase my odds. So if I guessed at this, I have a 25% shot at getting it right. If I get rid of one of them that I know can't be the answer, then I now have a what? I have a 33% chance of getting it right. All right, so deductive reasoning, but we can find the answer to this. Why? Well, one of the reasons that we can find the answer to this is because looking at it, we know that it's talking about a feeder. We know that feeder is what article? If you did your flashcards, you know that feeders are Article 215. You also know that 215 is not big. And since we're talking about a grounded conductor in conjunction with a feeder in 215, would I even go to the index for that? I wouldn't. I know that I'm going to bold scan 215. Now, I am more than sure that it's somewhere in the index, okay? But time is your friend. In this episode, like the other three, we want to train your mind to take things and realize deductive reasoning. Okay, it's a feeder. We're building on the knowledge you should have if you're in our program or you've been in a structured program. You know that feeders are 215. It's asking about a grounded conductor used with a feeder. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go 215. So I'm going to go to 215 because it's asking about a feeder. And that's where we need to be. Again, using logic here. And 215 is feeders. All right, now, specific question is a size issue, and it's referencing, well, the grounded conductor can't be smaller than a size that's given by one of these references. Now, interesting to note is that 250.66 generally is about grounding electrodes. Okay, so grounding, the different grounding electrodes and the conductors that go to those. So the grounding electrode conductors, the electrodes themselves are 250.52, but this is the grounding electrode conductor. Okay, so we know that there's sizing there. 250.122 is the sizing that we go to for equipment grounding conductors, so could be either one of those. And 220.61, that's really part of the calculations in part 3, which shows you how to do a reduction to the size of the neutral. That's really not germane to what's going on here. So I can remove 220.61, and now I've got a 50-50 chance. It's either 250.66 or it's 250.122. But we're in 215, and we're looking for references to grounded conductors. Okay, so let's do that. We're here, and we're not minimum sizing anything. Okay, we're just kind of scrolling along, and there's a 2, and we're going down, and it's the general, and boom, right here, grounded conductor. Kind of like it was a snake, it would have bit us. It says, the feeder conductor ampacity shall not be less than that of the service conductors where the feeder conductors carry the load, the total load supplied by the service conductor with an ampacity of 55 amps or less, okay? So we've got that application, but we're sitting there going, well, wait a minute. Oh, excuse me. That's even the wrong reference. See how quickly that can happen? Here's where we're at. What the hell did I read that for? But do you see how quickly that can happen? Here's the key. Catch yourself. Focus. I'm focusing. So I'm grounded conductor again. Screw this. This is where we want to be. It says the size of the feeder circuit grounded conductor, there we go, shall not be smaller than the equipment grounding conductor size required by 250.122. So we know we got this one right. So the easiest thing to remember is, okay, 215 is small. The question was talking about feeder, and it's about a grounding conductor. Go right to 215. That's the best. Don't spend your time in the index on this one. Again, don't treat the index as your holy grail. Use your experience and what you learn in our program, in our course. You're going to know these things. Okay? All right. So we're going to come back to our question. And we're going to answer our question. Boom, right there. And that's our code reference, folks. Okay? Easy peasy. You want another one? All right, let's do another one. I know you do. Y'all are into this. All right, next question. All right, we have a snap switch. It's a DC or AC. Snap switch shall be allowed to be loaded to blank percent of the rating when used on inductive type of loads. So I have an inductive type load, or maybe the exam tells me you have a load and it's inductive load, and they want to know what is the rating of the switch and what percentage can you use of that rating. All right, so that's a valid question, and you don't want to guess. But one thing clear, this is about a snap switch, right? Okay, so you know that switches are where? You know your articles by now. Article 404, that's switches. Now we're in 404. That's the thing we want to look. So we want to go in here to the NEC. Now if you're using the index, then check it out. I'll go to switches really quickly. I said I wasn't going to do this again, but I'll do it. Let's go to switches. Pause your screen. If you don't want to go with me, just pause it. And if you do, and look it up. But I'm going to go to switches, and I'm going to see what we've got under switches. Okay, here's switches. It is there. It tells me Article 404, so we know that's good. So if we want a bold scan, we know where to go. Now we're going to look down really quickly, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for ratings. We're going to look for inductive type load question. We're going to look for AC, DC. We're going to look for snap to put us where we need to be. But we're going to kind of go down here real quick. So let's look and see where we need to be. And I'm going to kind of go down really quickly, just kind of scan these. Okay, clock's ticking, but we're good. And let's see here. Mechanical, motor, oil, a lot of switches here. Snap. Snap says also see snap switches. Beautiful thing. We're already in the S's, so let's just go to snap switches, giving us that guidance. So we'll go to snap switches. There you go, one page over to the left. Snap switches, AC general use. Okay, ratings. All right, well, this is a ratings question. Right? It says ratings right there, 404.14. It's a ratings type of question. So where we're going to go? We're going to go to 404, or 404 more accurately, .14. That's where I'm going to go. So let's do that. Boom. 404. And I'm reminding you, if you had gone right to 404, you would have bold scanned, you would have found it by now. But anyway, some people have more of a comfort level with the index, and that's fine. Let's go to it. And I'll go to 404 right there. And I would go to 14 because that's what we found in the back of the book. But if you bold scan it, be honest with you, rating of the use of the switch, you be honest with you, it was only what? It's only 14 sections in. This is not a big article, dude. Look, I'm done. It goes up to 404.30 is as far as this one goes. Again, lock that in your mind. Switch questions, not a big article. Much better to bold scan. All right, let's go to the 14 real quickly. Here it is, okay? Now, here is the first one, and this says alternating current general use. Nope. Alternating current AC or DC snap switch. Boom. Now, what are we looking for? Inductive type loads. That's in the question, remember? Inductive type loads. So remember, that's a trigger. So I'm looking through here quickly. That's resistive loads. That don't help me. Boom, inductive loads. Now I'm looking for it. Not exceed 50% of the ampere rating of the switch at the applied voltage switches. Boom. But here's the thing. 50%. I'm only looking for a value of 50%. I'm only looking for the answers. 50, 80, 100, 115. I don't see any other answer here. It's got to be 50. Done. Let's go back. Here's your answer. Boom, 50. Right there. 404.14b2. And that's what we looked up. These are powerful things, folks. You don't have to memorize the National Electrical Code. But what you want to do for your well-being is to get familiar of the flow of the code. Learn the different articles, take your time, create flashcards. If you're in our program, then you don't have to worry about that because they're electronic. You can make any number you want. You can make 1,000 flashcards. And here's my advice. Let me give you some advice before I end this one today. You should electronically or physically create flashcards for every article in the code. It's easy. Just get them. You can get the cards at a dollar store for $1. Or if you're doing our electronic ones, it only takes you a second. You go into the flashcards, you create a new one, you put on the front side, you put the article, and on the back side, you put the answer. You do that for every single article so that you get a choice. You start flipping them. 430 motors, 338, okay, service entrance cables, and USE. You go to 336 tray cable, 334 non-metallic sheet cable, 517 healthcare facilities, 690 photovoltaic, 680 pools, swimming pools, hot tubs, spas. You'll get so familiar with it. 210 brand circuits, 100 definitions, okay? Over time, it's just going to be just human nature for you to get better. And that means when you see a question on exam or you're out in the field, you're going to be able to do this easily because you'll know where to start that journey. Now, if you want to get into a great exam prep program or any of our courses and help support the efforts that I do, I appreciate every one of you. I want to show you really quickly again our website. And what you do is you go to fasttracksystem.com. And if it looks like, if you're on a browser, this is what it'll look like. And you can go to courses right here. And you have all these courses. Of course, we have some free blogs that you can read. But here's the courses. If you're studying for an electrical exam or you already have a license, but you just want to get better at the code, you feel like you're lacking code knowledge, then you get our Fast Tracks Black or our Fast Tracks Plus. Now, the only difference in the two courses is with the Plus, you're also going to get 12-month access to our video platform. That's called Fast Tracks Tube. It is the most amazing video platform out there. It's the neatest look. It is so browser friendly. It's so device friendly. You can watch videos. It has so many features you're not going to find on any other type of platform, like even YouTube. It is just electrical all day, all long. So check that out. But if you want the courses, you go over here under courses. Now, if you're in the mobile app and you're thinking, well, mine doesn't look like this, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you just go to our website, and this is what it'll look like. And you just scroll down. And if you're taking an exam or you want to learn the NEC, then you'll see something that says test. Just tap on the test icon and it will take you right to the Fast Tracks Black and Plus courses. Okay, it's just that easy. If you want to look at all the courses we offer, then if you're on the mobile version, then you go down here to shop. Just click shop and it will literally take you to all of our courses. And you get to peruse through them. We have grounding and bonding, industrial, residential, commercial, electrical theory, HVAC electricians courses. Great stuff, folks. Grounding and bonding is one of the amazing courses we have. Anyway, that's how you navigate our website. And please, before you go, make sure you get our mobile app. It's got so many features. It's got our own version of like a TikTok where you can ask questions and post images and we comment back and I'm going to give you quizzes on it. It's built right into the app and it's only available to people that use the app. Other people can't come in. It's only app users and it's free. So all you do is download it. Now, it looks like this and it's got so many features along the side. It's got calculators. It's got what else has it got? It's got instant access to our podcasts, so much stuff in there, folks. It's got in the field calculators for sizing, raceway fill, box fill, all of it right there at your fingertips. It's free. Download it. It'll load it on your phone. All you do is go there and click this URL right here, and it'll ask you, do you want to put the icon on your phone? Please do. It's not loading anything into your phone. All it is a icon link. And when you click it, it brings our mobile app to you instantly. And then when we make any changes, you see it instantly. You no longer have to go to the Google Store or the Apple Store to do this. That's the technology that we have today. And I hope you do get our app. We want, even if you're not a customer of ours, we really want to help you out. And we're constantly adding things to the app. Really want you to get the app. Okay, so just go to our website and download that app. All right, folks, that's it. I just want to thank you folks for joining me in this 4-part series. Hopefully you learned something out of it. If you want more information about our programs, go to our website. Until then, folks, good luck. I wish you the most success. in passing your exam. If you're not taking the exam and you're using this to get better at the NEC in the field, I have no doubt that you're going to become the leader of your company and you're going to rise to levels that you never expected, because you not only have the physical talents, but now you're getting the mental talent. Thanks for watching. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.